How's it going, Q? We'll get started here in a little bit. I'm just kind of organizing, getting in here. I'll hop on here on stream here in a second. On a little bit earlier than normal. But that's okay. So, what playbooks do I have in here? Plans for a move, new city, new job. Nice. Nice, Q. Yeah, it should be good. Getting in a new place. Getting I think you had mentioned that you got a new job and then you were I believe it was getting a huge raise, wasn't it? So that's always good. Whenever any of my friends, like my close friends, they'll tell me, "Oh yeah, I got a raise." I'm like, "What kind of raise did we get? You know, what did we as a community here get as a raise?" I always tell them stuff like that. So all right, let's do this. Let's copy. This is good. Sec user add. I like to steal for myself. Down into sudoers. So now I'm in a directory in here. I'm going to move this sec users add over to sudoers fix.yaml. Okay. Very large raise, but going to a very high cost. Yeah, that always, I mean, it's always this trade-off. You probably do have more buying power and travel power though, so that's kind of a nice thing too. So that's it's also there's kind of, I don't know that there's a rule for this or an economic theory for this, but I can tell you that as you push your salary up, barring a lot of weird things like layoffs or firings or stuff, your salary doesn't step down very often. So one of the things, and this is actually a big thing in companies like Lockheed Martin. So I had a friend, I'll tell you about this. I had a friend at Lockheed Martin who he got hired out of he went to the University of Washington, well anyways, he was in Washington State though. So Washington State, where he was at, had a very high cost of living. And he was hired on at Lockheed Martin as a junior engineer. Now, a junior engineer at Lockheed Martin back in 2008 made $54,000 a year. So he was hired on as a junior making $54,000 a year. If he had started up in Washington and his job didn't end up starting, so they offered him to move him down to Phoenix. If his job had started in Washington, his $54,000 a year with adjustments would have been like 79, because all of that adjustment for cost of living up there, and then had he moved down to Phoenix, it wouldn't have dropped. His junior pay would have stayed above. That 79 is about what I made when I was a senior there at Lockheed Martin. So I was a hardware engineer senior was my title, and I made. So I think I walked up to about 90 when I was at Lockheed. That was many years ago. But the point is, the cost of living difference is your salary never dropped when you went back to a lower area. But Phoenix, we were out in Goodyear, but the cost of living for him, they started him at 54. But if he had just started over there, it would have been like 25K a year more, which was like a 50% increase for him. So that was a big thing. Anyways, that guy's actually part of our Discord somewhere too, but he doesn't show up very often. All right, let's go look at this. sudoers fix. Don't need any of this. We are going to not do any of this stuff. We are likely going to be doing a copy. So, the question is, what do I want to do with this thing? And also, we'll call this, we're going to use my normal convention here, which is, and if you wonder about that convention, they transferred to a small office, I'd be sitting pretty. Yeah. You very rarely ever go down like that once you've moved up to a certain rate. So when I do this survey host thing, this is the idea that you need the right key. You need to understand how to run my playbooks. I never I never run my playbooks with like an all up here or just some set of variables like hosts. I always leave it as this kind of, this is almost like my short circuit. Like you need a key to start my playbook. And the reason I do that is because I've watched very good engineers almost take a company down. And when I say that, I mean like AAA. We almost went down years ago because an engineer that was well-meaning but didn't understand what the playbook was saying tried to run a baseline tool that we had against the whole company, and he would have taken production systems down. They try to claw it back. Quit too early telling this. Yeah, I used to run platform engineering for AAA insurance. Yeah, I ran their platform engineering. I was in charge of all, was technical lead for all of their Linux and Windows. Yeah, I was there from 2016 to 2023 or so, in different areas there. So, hey Nihilium, how's it going? Yeah, I was the platform engineering lead, and then I also moved over and I was the red team lead for a while too. So I did all the red team stuff. So, all right. So anyway, so survey hosts that, copy over all the new servers. Push no. So what we're gonna do first is backup current sudoers file to backup current sudoers file to etsy sudoers dot, let's call it back dot, and then date, right? So it'll look like that. And then the way we won't put date like that. We'll do we'll just do date like that. That's fine, because that's not going to be where it's actually happening. In here, we'll give our arguments. So we're gonna copy. So it's going to be source. It's going to be dest, and then it's going to be remote source is true or yes. You put true or yes there. Troy was raised with honesty. Oh, Raleigh, you were over there on the firewall team? Yeah, I think I remember a few of our firewall guys over there back in the day. One of them, or no, not one of them. Two of them had the same name. I believe they were both Willie, but I don't remember. Actually, I do know one of their last names, but I'm not going to say it now. The guy, and I did know a couple of them. But the networking team and the firewall team were together, and then I think they split the firewall team out after a while. So, yeah. So, source for this will be etsy sudoers, and then destination will be etsy sudoers dot back dot, and then we're going to put a variable here. So, if we're going to use a variable, we got to go find that variable, and I can never remember things, so I'm going to go over here, and let's get out of Vault. We don't need to be in Vault right here. CD. Oops. I wonder where I have this. CIS benchmarks, most likely. God damn. I would have thought I would have had. Apparently I don't have it in here. Oh. Yeah, we could use that. That's the variable. I was gonna find the specific thing, but that's fine. All right. See, you guys, if you guys forget, I never remember anything. I just go. Whoops, what the hell? Undo. There we go. I never remember anything, guys. I just always go and steal shit from myself. So right click. What the hell? What the hell's going on here? All right. Insert. Alright, that officially doesn't make any sense. Ansible date time dot date, just like that. Come back here. I never... Huh. Something is weird going on there, so... Alright, we'll just write it out. I could have just written it out by now. Right? Ansible date time. Ansible underscore date underscore time dot date. Ansible and Kubernetes in depth. Horizon, where I would go if it were me and I were looking for a place to go do that, I would come over here. Also, hold on one second. Let me make sure that this is streaming. Oh, it is streaming. Okay. We're on YouTube as well. If anybody cares about YouTube, you can go look over there. Let me pull up. This is where I would go learn about Kubernetes if it were me. If I were starting out all over again and I wanted to go like get hands-on and learn how to do Kubernetes, I would come right here. There's a Killer Coda. So this is a free spot. Yeah, Q's ahead of me, but that's perfect. Here's a bunch of stuff by people that are certified Kubernetes administrators. I have a bunch of stuff on it, not as much as these guys, but a lot of these, there's 15 scenarios, 70 scenarios, and 30 more that'll help you get started. Also, hey, how's it going, chicken? Right now, through the end of this week, Code Cloud is doing a free everything. So if you wanted to go watch Mumshad's course for free, you just go to Code Cloud, right? Code Cloud right here, boom. You can sign in with your, if you've got like a Google account, you can sign in. Whoops. Let's see if I got my account linked right now. What's going on here? Come on. Maybe they're super busy right now. Something. Yeah, you can get your Google account, which mine says Drunk Octopus wants to fight you, and you can go into literally anything in here. These are ones that I've bought or had free before, and then all the courses are free right now on Code Cloud. So Mumshad has the best courses around for learning Kubernetes stuff. So if you were serious about wanting to learn Kubernetes, I'd come in here and spend some time with these things. Yeah, and then you can go see. He's got a bunch of stuff. And one of the cool things about it, look, free until April 21st. So if you wanted to get in there and spend some time, they've got a really good, I like this learning path thing. Let's say you were like, I want to be a systems administrator. I want to be a Kubernetes. I want to be a site reliability. They actually have a plan that'll walk you through which of these to do. And depending on how much time you have, you could probably get a lot of those done for free the next few days if you were really wanting to get some hands-on. So Code Cloud's free until the 21st. I think that's one of the best things free right now. And then the best thing free on the internet, period, I think is Killer Coda. And the reason why is because if you haven't been in one of these labs before, let's go in my labs real quick. Let's go to an Ansible, Kubernetes lab, because you asked about Kubernetes. And let's say you want to troubleshoot Kubernetes. And here you go. You'll be in an environment with Kubernetes. And this is our lab that asks you create an Nginx pod, create an Nginx pod with readiness probe. Do these things, and then I give you how you can do it if you wanted to. And then you could actually do the lab if you were, so inclined to go actually get the skills and figure out how to do this stuff with the different pieces and that stuff. Make sure that the pod started, but there's no pod, and then describe it if you wanted to see it. If you wanted to actually build this pod, you would just grab this, Control C, vi sumfile.yaml, Control Shift V. It's got API version V1, pod, Nginx. It's going to start Nginx. It's going to have a readiness probe and a liveness probe. And I think this one should still work. kubectl git create -f and then our file, which is sumfile.yaml. And this should create that. And then we can go verify. Did it make it? It's still creating it. It's still downloading that Docker Nginx latest image. Now it's running, but it's not ready yet. And eventually it'll go to running. So some of those things, hold on, I'll give you a second here to get some more experience with it, and then describe pod shows that it started. Some of those things. So if you need some of those specific skills, and you're just like, I need a little bit more time, CKS will give you some of that, the RBAC stuff, and the ingress, and then in this one with these scenarios, these 70 scenarios, he actually has a lot of those things you're asking for. So he's got some of the, if I go RBAC, or if he goes, I think it's user. No, he's got stuff in here around that though. Here's ingress. I've got a lab that shows you how to build an ingress as well. Those are pod issues, deployment issues, port issues, service accounts, roles, bindings, service account role bindings. So there's things in here to get you doing the individual things. And then there's one other thing. Like if you look at all this and go, well, none of those fit my very specific case, what you could do is just come over here to Killer Coda, the generic page, go to the playgrounds, and just drop yourself into Kubernetes 129, 1.29 or 1.29, whatever you want to call it, environment. So you drop in an environment, and you could do whatever you need to. You have an empty kubeadm cluster with two gig nodes. You can do everything you need to in here to test or practice anything that you could go read out of the docs. So the docs have all kinds of stuff for you to go practice. You've probably been to Kubernetes.io. I mean, most everybody who's ever passed the CKA has been here. Kubernetes, in the documentation here, there are a lot of tutorials that, since you have your own little cluster here, you could do any of the tutorials. You could build any of these pieces to practice. So they'll help you get some of the skills that you need. So that's where I would spend time if it were me. That's what I would go do. Let me grab this YYP O, and then P, and then O, and the next one is going to be move. In this case, we're going to copy a file. Source is going to be etc sudoers. And the destination is going to be etc sudoers.d, and the file name is going to be called what are we going to call this? We'll call this sudoers I'll figure out a better thing to call that. Sudoers outdated. That's fine. And then when we're done with that, we're going to do one other thing, and we're going to copy in I need to make this item potent, so I don't want to keep doing this. Let me think about this. This gets run multiple times in a day. I might do a different one for this. So let me find a different one of these real quick. Actually, I got a better way to do it. Here's how we're gonna find it. We're just gonna go Ansible all -m setup -a filter equals Ansible date time anything. All right. So what this is going to do is this is going to hit my server. Oh, Ansible. Ansible's the other one. I'm a big fan of Ansible. Been using it for about 11 years now. I have a few. I have Ansible Labs there. If you go in our Labs message, which was just a few seconds ago, and you go hit our killer coda there. This is our killer coda. I have 21 Ansible Labs up there that'll get you started on Ansible. So Ansible intro, like installing it, um, setting up a host file, doing some basic ad hoc stuff like what I just did in my environment, staging files and pushing them over, using Jinja templates, and then we start getting into complex, like multiple things, all the way down to setting up firewall configurations, generating CSV reports to feed out to management, because management always wants CSV. If any of you have ever worked with managers, you know that's what managers want. They want to be fed things in a CSV format. They don't care about anything else. That's a manager thing, right? Managers go to a class, they all like CSV, and they like using Excel for all their pivot charts, right? Pivot tables. All right, anyways, here's what I need. ISO basic 8601 short. That's what I'm going to use. Okay. What in the actual F? You guys see that? I don't know what's going on. ISO. Am I using the wrong? No, that's the right one. Anyways, ISO 8601 underscore basic. Short. Okay. Updated. Then we'll copy in sudoers .new into Etsy sudoers, and then that'll be the sudoers file for everything going forward. They also want go-getters with can-do attitude. That's funny. That's fine. That will all work for what I need it to, but I'm going to test in my environment here in a second. So, I can do this two ways. I can build a local host file, or I could use my host file for my system. So my host file is here, and I'm going to use, let's use, we'll use the all dungeons. That's fine. So all I need to do to run this then is to generate that. So this will be the playbook to run right here. Ansible playbook. I don't need to give a -I inventory because it'll use this default inventory, and the playbook is going to be called sudoers_fix.yaml. But if I just run this, watch, it's going to break. It's going to be red all over the place. And the reason it's going to be red all over, oh, well, that's commented, so it's not going to do anything. If I run it like this, it's going to be red all over because it doesn't have that variable for the host. Oh, you want to use a variable, but you don't have it, so we got to pass that in, extra vars. So this is where I was talking about earlier. I have, my playbooks are always set up in a way that you can't run them unless you know what you're doing. And the reason I do that, again, is I've seen very talented engineers fuck up whole environments because they don't know how to run. They don't know what they're doing with the tool. They don't know what servers they're going to hit, and that causes problems. So extra vars here will be all dungeons. Did I spell that right? And then now, this is going to go push that, but this is still going to break. But I'm okay with how it's going to break to start. So I'm going to run it, and it's going to, the first two will work, and the last one will break. Oh. All dungeons. Oh. That's dumb. Survey hosts equal all dungeons. Gotta make it equal something. So look. That's weird. Let's go look. Oh. Guys, gather facts must be true if you're going to call date time. It has to be true. So that was my fault. All this will work now. I was testing you guys. And some of you passed. Now once we gather facts, that'll work. So. And don't get me started on the stupid cow thing. Last one's going to break. We know the last one's going to break. But that's because I don't have a file to push yet. I want a pseudoers file to push, so... let's just do this real quick. Let's just... SCP from blue node 01. Etsy pseudoers to here, right? So we'll copy that here. And this will be our one file that we're going to play with. And in here, let's just add, we're just going to make a user Scott. And he's going to have all, and because I like to, no pass, word, colon, all, right? Let's see if they have an example of that. I don't see them with an example of that anywhere. But typically, that's what that looks like. And if I need an example of it, we'll just grab. What? We'll just look at the file. Ah, that's what it is. There's no password all. Well, you always gotta make sure that's right. Oh, my damn thing will never... That's so fucking annoying. I don't know what happened to that. Okay. So, whoops. That's RS, lowercase Scott. Right, quit, exclamation mark, because it's a read-only file. All right, now when we run our playbook, we've got that file, and we're going to push it to all those servers, and then the pseudoers is going to be there with the Scott in there, the Scott user of whatever type. So it's going to do the 2 backups. We expect that. That's good. Ah. I gotta call it pseudoers new. That was my bad. Because that's just what I'm gonna name it, so that when it moves over there, it's the right file. So, hey, how's it going, Monkey Man? We are just doing stuff in my home lab here. This is actually a work thing that I'm putting together. I'm just doing it out here, and then I'll send it over myself at work later. But I'm cleaning up a... So let me just explain to you guys. There's a lot of ways to do things, and some of you are probably hanging out and you're software engineers, and some of you are probably web front end or back end guys, and there's all kinds of people doing all kinds of things in engineering, right? But what I'm about to tell you, most all of you are going to understand from whatever your background is in other things. There are different ways to deal with configuration files. You can have one big giant one that's 30,000 lines of all the configs. But that gets hard to edit, and that gets hard to deal with. So what I'm doing, if we would just look at this again, pseudoers fix, right? Just if you look at this for 1 second here, the original file that exists on this machine, or the set of machines that I'll be working with, is the Etsy pseudoers, right? And it's a big giant file right now, and it's grown up over all the years of this supercomputer existing. It's all these different things in there. But that's not granular. What's granular is down here in Etsy pseudoers.d. And in Etsy pseudoers.d, I'm going to put that pseudoers file as the outdated file. Now, once I've done that and moved it off to the side, I'm going to move in this really lean and just the pseudoers file that I want. Now, what that'll do is it's almost like, have you guys ever seen like when they pick up a house, like you've got this house out in the country and they'll pick it up and they'll put it on like logs or something and they'll roll it 50 feet and then they'll drop it back down. I've seen that before. Like they do it like back east or something. You know, they'll like move old houses that have been around for like hundreds of years. Well, it's the same idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the sudoers file, that's this big monolith, down into sudoers.d, and I'm going to give us a nice, clean, lean, tiny little sudoers file. Then, let's say this server or set of servers that I have need to give access to, let's just say some of our users are called KLC. Those KLC users all have their own lean little sudoers file for them that'll be like etc sudoers.d KLC. And then the 30 servers or so that, let's say, need these KLC users, I'm just making up some users, they will all have their sudoers permissions only on the servers that they should. So this whole directory here will be populated with many small little files that are very easy for me to come in later with Ansible and audit, or bash, any tool you need to say like, okay, this server is this type of server. It's got its general sudoers, which is very lean. It's got this sudoers.outdated file that had all those permissions from before. We don't want to break anything that was already there. So the monolith will still be there. And then we'll have all our little custom permissions. And as we go forward with Ansible, Ansible will always just push new permissions out there as we need them, right? Now, you might say, Scott, there's a sudoers module. Why aren't you using the sudoers module? Because I don't need to do the sudoers work yet. Does that make sense? When we do the sudoers work later, we may use that module and we may just put things in there. Or what I'm much more used to doing is working with a team, building the file, whatever that file is going to be, and saying, okay, is this good? Are your permissions right? And then we go out there and then, we test on 1 or 2 nodes and then we push that file everywhere. That's probably that's my normal workflow. There's different workflows you can have. But a lot of times with some of the security stuff, But think about it. None of this stuff would work if I was like just trying to edit this sudoers file here and just keep adding and removing user permissions and stuff. It's just a mess. I think red node 1 is sage red. Whoops. Node 01. All right, so let's go over there and we'll say sudo -l-U Scott. Scott. Sudoers.d has too many levels of includes. Oh, okay. When we do that, cd etc sudoers sudoers.d. All right. Yeah. See, Scott, the user that was just created, has all permissions, so that's perfect. So this is the exact thing that I need to do with one exception. The sudoers outdated needs to have that line stripped off it. So let's exit out of here. We're gonna rerun our playbook now. I realize right now, when I do this again, some of you are probably looking at this going, he's fucked it up right here. Because now he's copying the new sudoers over the old one, but I don't care about these boxes, if that makes sense. The no password is just a test. I don't normally do that. No. We don't normally run no password like that. No, that's let's call that a bad practice. I just used it as part of my check. I wanted to see if I could push that through. So that's a good test. We don't normally do like a no password like that. Like what that means, guys, is anybody that can get my Scott user, can take over or become my Scott user, can become root through my account with no password. And normally we don't do that. We want sudo to have to be another authorization in the system. I normally run around as root anyways, so I'm kind of breaking rules all left and right anyways. So SSH to node. Let's go look at CD there. More. Let's go to the bottom. Let's take this line here. And we've got to do one last thing. Yeah, those stupid cows, I know. VI sudoers fix YAML. And the last thing we're going to do here, so we're going to move the current pseudoers into there. And then as part of this work right here, we're going to say name, remove the additional includes from the original pseudoers file. Oops. And that's going to be a line in file command. And if I don't remember, we use it without a user, without a shell. I don't know. Hold on real quick. Let's do this. Now we need path. And then we're going to need regexp, like that. Thanks for the follow. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Oh, somebody followed a while ago. I missed it. I don't know. Is rain? Hold on, guys. We got to fix this. We've got problems. I need to go. We got problems, guys. There's all kinds of problems here. Let's pull this up. I don't normally pull this thing up on stream, but where is? Yeah, my notifications are busted. I was messing with them the other day, but I thought I fixed them. So, your rewards, emotes, something drops. No, I don't need any of that stuff. Alerts. So there's this whole page for alerts, right? Here, I'll pull this up for you guys. There's a whole page for alerts that I can show you. But over here, my alerts for normal stream are active. And if we edit the alerts, there's Ranger, right, doing Linux. And that one should be active. And I thought I added some text-to-speech. Is ready to do all the Linux. Yeah. So that one is active. And it's been saved and everything. Yeah. So I don't know why. Do all the Linux. That one's there as well. That one's there. We could play the text to speech if we wanted to hear it somewhere.
Hi, my name is Joey.
And then say alert text. Yeah. Voice is Joey. So those are all saved. So that's. Oh, that's a randomized one. That's not my normal one. Hold on. So subscriptions, I have those all on. Where is? I don't. Yeah, we can. Oh, so these weren't even on. That's a problem. So, all right. I hate to do this to you guys, but if anybody wants to follow right now, anybody that's not following that wants to, please feel free to follow. All right. Anyways, we got to figure out how to do this, right? In case I don't remember. And then the other thing is state should be we're going to remove that line when we find it. Now, unfortunately, that line, I can't. My stupid copy thing isn't working. So, I'm gonna have to figure out. If I'm following, I will choose to follow now. I don't know if you can unfollow and refollow, and if it'll work, but I don't think those count. I think only new follows count. All right. But real quick, we're gonna figure out how to do this if we don't remember. We'll find somebody to follow me here soon. And then, hopefully it does one of two things. It'll either do the Ranger alert or the do all the Linux alert. So it'll do one of those two, I think. All right, so we don't remember how to do this, right? We got tiny little brains like me, and we say Ansible line in file, how to use this module. How is this module laid out? And we need to be back. Somebody followed me. It says you followed me. But did it pop up? I don't see it. I don't see it, guys. It does say you followed me. Hold on. Let's try this one more time here. Boom. Alerts. Normal stream. I don't even know what this alerts box to is. What the hell is this? I've never even seen this one. So let's get back out of there. Oh, analytics, alerts, stream manager, back to alerts. Here we go. Normal stream. Here's all my normal stream stuff. Follows. I don't know. Sure. Randomization. Sure. Copy the source URL. Oh, maybe my source URL is busted. Hold on. Shouldn't be, but at least I can still see him. No, I can see him if I go look here, but I don't see him. Hold on. Ticker, Big Monitor, PowerPoint, chat box, do all the labs, Homer Cam. Homer Cam's funny. For the money, that's this one. Something just popped up. What the hell? Did it just go off? Yeah, that looked like it just went off. Okay. Well, I guess it's gonna randomize them. Yeah, for inspector. You know what? I'm gonna turn off randomize because I only want I really only want this one. This is the only one I really want. Oh, you're here. They're doing Linux stuff. That's the only one I really want is Ranger. I don't care about anybody else. All right, so that's all. Okay, well, I guess that's good then. Let's go to latest 2.9. We need to be on version 2.9. And we're going to go down and look at the things that we need. So we need path, regexp, and then state is absent. So I need absent because I want it to pull out whatever it finds. Path is etc sudoers.d, sudoers outdated, right? And then the regexp for this is going to be the exact match of that line that I want to pull out, right? In this case, around single quotes, it'll be whatever the thing, and it can be anchored to the front if I want to. I know that this is only going to show up one time in there. So escape : WQ. Let's go look at the... It's going to look like this. So anything with include dir... That's super annoying. Since I know that my damn copy is not going to work. Where's my Notepad++? Best app ever, right? Drop it in there. Grab this. In case it's not going to play nice. PI sudoers. And if we find this line, which is include, and anything include dir, right? You know what? Yeah, let's just try this. I think, yeah, well, we'll see if it'll find this. Might break. Let's see. One test, right? 4,000 expert opinions. Doing the full line, you can't use the line. I think regexp is... oh, is that right? Did I use the line instead of regexp? Let's see what happens. I don't... the additional... What's going on here? Why is it doing that? It's weird. Alright, so let's see. Back to current sudoers file. Move. Oh yeah, so I didn't even find it. You're right. Yep. Project P. Can I just do line? I don't know if I've ever used line. So if I know the exact line. No, line is typically what you replace it with. Regexp is when you want to pull it, right? Let's do the exact line then. I just don't know. It's I don't know if it's gonna work. Let's see. Try one more time. Doing it live. But yeah, you might be right. It might have to be the exact. And then I typically, well, we could anchor it to the front. Let's see if this works. Sometimes you gotta escape stuff, and nope, didn't find it again. Because normally, yeah, you have to escape things like this, because it is doing regexp. So I'm gonna have to escape that. That's fine. Yeah, let's do that. Let's escape all the things that need to be escaped, and then see if it can find it. That should... Let's give it the old try. Did it follow? Did it find the next person? Oh, no, we haven't had any new followers. If we get a follower, somebody let me know if it actually worked, because that thing should be there. Now this should find it. It did not. Did not find it. Maybe at isn't somebody help me out. Is at a Oh, I'm sure it's only for new follows. It should only be for new follows. Yeah. I think, yeah. New follow. Not for any follows. I don't think you can turn them on for any follows in the new system. This is a newer system, by the way. This is like not the way it used to be. New follow. I see. That's alert of the crusty old. I don't know if it'll. I don't know what any of that other crap is. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if you have to regex escape an @ sign. That might not be. Maybe not forward slashes either. Oh, I can just use. Oh, okay, I get it. That's my bad. I get it. I won't escape nothing. Whoops. Ooh, we're not escaping nothing. We'll just do the exact line. Yep. State absent. Boom. Let's see. We need to trick somebody new into following us, guys. Gotta find somebody new. Shoot. Not finding it. It's just. Oh no, it did change. Okay, it did change it. No, that's the copying it over. Remove the additional includes. All right, let's go check one of these. Red. Dildo 1. Yeah. So it's busted still. So. Did you leave an @ The @'s on there. Watch, if I cd to Etsy sudoers.d and then more sudoers outdated. This is the line I'm trying to get rid of right here. @ includes. So so it's funny. Ubuntu uses an @ sign there, but Red Hat uses a pound sign. So in Red Hat, I will see a pound sign there. I actually know that for certain because I do that all the time. I work in there. So I'm going to have to change that anyways. But yeah, it is. It's @ include sudoers.d. That's what I got here. Yep. @ include sudoers.d. Did I include the exact line? Wrap it all in quotation, double quotes. I had single quotes on it. Give it a try. Double quotes, single quotes. Something. We'll see. We'll see what takes it. Still not finding it. So, I need to find what is part of regexp and what isn't. I'm okay with regex, but I'm not an expert at it. Well, I was going to say I could just anchor to the front and look for the @ line equals your line. Yeah. That should be the exact line. Oh, god damn it. Guys, I had the wrong fucking file name. Oh my god, jeez. Guys, I had the wrong file name. I don't know why that was coming back okay. I did not have the right file name in there. I don't know, man. I don't know how I get anything done ever, guys. There it is. Now it worked. I bet it probably would have worked with like 3 of the different things we tried. I had, yeah. Where's my? We're doing it live. Um, Somebody give me a face palm. Where's a face palm emote? You got any face palms? We need one. This was me right there. This was me for you guys that missed it. This was me. Homer, are you just holding on to the can? Your point being? Oh my god. All right. Well, again, if I haven't said this before, let me say it now. If I can do this stuff, anybody can do this stuff, right? Okay, so SH to node, red node, and then now there's me, and I just happen to have no password in 2 places, but that's fine. I don't care. When you're doing this type of lift and shift from an old, archaic, giant, potentially file to the new way that you want to do it, you're not really worried about things that look funny like this. You're worried about not breaking functionality. Now, yeah, we could clean it up, but the point is that thing's gonna die in place. We're not gonna ever update that one again. And all future builds of all servers in my company, in this high performance compute cluster that I work on, will always be this lean, perfect file. And any of these special configs that need to be there will be built in and passed through a process to individually build them as their own file permissions so that they can be easily added or removed. So that's what this is. So if you're looking at this going, what the heck is this for? The whole purpose of this whole thing we were doing is to say, down here we could have, where the hell am I? Where the heck? Oh shit, I have no idea where I am. Oh, I'm in this other box. Okay. In here we've got the sudoers new file, right? And that's some file that I want to push over. And then I've got my sudoers fix playbook, and the playbook is going to take what's there and back it up, so we always have a backed up copy, and it'll be backed up to right now, and that's pretty unique right there. So if you run it even a second later, that'll be different, so that's cool. Then we've got the move the current one, that big one, over into sudoers outdated. Then we've got to strip off that line, but in Red Hat, in like CentOS or Red Hat, that's going to be a pound sign. Like if I grep include from Etsy sudoers, you'll see that it's a pound sign in their nomenclature. And honestly, I don't know why there's different nomenclatures like that. But when you see a single pound sign like this for an include inside of an Etsy sudoers file in a Red Hat system, that is being included. This is not commented out. So you say, are you sure? I'm 100% positive that if you go to any Red Hat system, you must have 2 pound signs in front of this. 2. Count them 2, or this will be included. It's the only place in all of systems world that I've ever found that nomenclature. There's other weird things, like in Etsy postfix and some of these other places, or your mail.mc files, you'll have like a semicolon at the beginning of lines and stuff. I'm sure that's throwback to like old C days or something. But in this one only, Etsy sudoers inside of Red Hat systems, it's 2 pound signs to get rid of this. However, we do want this. We do want a directory that can inherit more functions, right? Because then we can add them and remove them very easily. Because Ansible is very good at this kind of stuff, like adding or removing pieces that you do or don't need in a build. So this is a fix to the current environment right here, this thing that I'm doing. Song in the background is like a dark carnival. It's kind of funny. All right, so that's good. That's my work for tomorrow. That's something that I'm gonna meet with somebody on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. How are we restructuring sudoers? And then once I do this old sudoers file here that's called sudoers outdated, it will never be deployed ever again. And you say, really? Yeah, in all new systems, we will just do the sudoers that comes with the system, or a base sudoers that we build as part of this initial push right here when we do this one. When I build this and do this, this sudoers will be a very basic, very simple permissions. Maybe it'll have like some wheel permissions, and maybe if we have some like HPC admin type things that we want in there. But this will be very lean and stripped down, and then all the permissions will be over there, right? I've got labs on sudoers, so if you guys want to go play with sudoers and you've never done it before, I've got some places you can go look at that. That lab, if anybody wants that one, is here. I'll link that lab to people that want it. I don't know, maybe you want to play with this particular lab later. There's one where unusual behaviors, people are trying to get into your servers, and well, in this case, they're trying to elevate their access. So that's a lab there that you guys can play with. I went over that the other day, so I'm not going to go over it right now. But that's this idea of sudoers is like, what permissions are we going to allow you to elevate to and pretend that you're root within those permissions? And there's some in there that we never give. Like, I never give you the ability to do VI as root, because with VI you can drop into a shell, so you can drop into a root shell as a normal user. I never give you that. I typically never give you the ability to chmod unless it's only in a directory that you have permissions in. But even then, sometimes people can execute things as root if they have chmod permissions. So there's some things that you need to look with there. There's a lot of stuff where we just try to keep the users from being users, right? Some users are going to cause themselves problems if you give too many permissions. And you might say, really? Yeah, look, I know really smart engineers, and I've seen this happen in a Hadoop cluster one time. We had some really good engineers. There's nothing dumb about these guys. They just were devs. They didn't care about the system. They weren't system guys. And this is like, we're trying to get to DevOps where we care about both. Most people don't ever care about the system, though. Anyways, these guys, what they did was they had root on this old cluster. The cluster became prod. It was a proof of concept cluster that eventually became prod in my company. This was absolute insanity. And this Hadoop cluster, they had this node. It was like, whatever its name was, it was like big node. We had these names to them, but it was like big node, like 165. Whatever it was. I think it was 165. And this stupid node, somebody said, well, hey, I can download everything there and then share it out as a repo. And then all the other nodes we can update and patch and do all these things that we need to get our software going. We don't have to wait for those server guys. Okay, so they did that. They had root, and they could understand enough to set up repositories everywhere and connect and all that stuff. But then what happened was, when they weren't using it, they were like, well, let's be smart. We'll turn off this node, and now they'll turn off the shared repository out of that node. They'll turn off the web server, basically, right, with all the repos on it. So they turn it off. And then all those nodes now have in their Etsy, so it's etsy yum.repos.d. In there, they've got a repo that points to that server. Well, then when we come to patch servers later, we can't patch any of those nodes because they've got a broken repo, and Red Hat won't patch if any of the repo links are broken. So what we had to do was we had to go retool our process and scrape all that shit out of there every time and only put our repos in, patch everything, and then put all their crap back every time to get around the fact that these devs didn't understand how to clean up their own systems. So, that's the reason, because a lot of people are like, why doesn't everybody just have root everywhere? Why isn't it just wild, wild west with us shooting guns like this in the air all the time and stuff? And it's like, because most people don't care. They don't care to keep the stuff clean. You have to have people whose job is to do that. And you might say, like, yeah, you're one of those guys, you've been root for 20-something years, so you're just an asshole and you don't want anybody else to have root. If I trusted other users not to break the shit, I would let everybody have root. But I don't. I don't even trust engineers sometimes to not break stuff, right? In fact, I don't even trust myself. I shouldn't be root all the time, but that I'm in my home lab and I don't care. When I'm working, right? I shouldn't be root all the time. I shouldn't hit reboot into a server and reboot something. Robdom, that's huge, man. It's huge. Knowing where you're committing to and what you're doing, it's big. Companies care more about their own profits than the... All right. So what are we doing here? We've got all that stuff done. Looks like people are talking down in the Discord, so that's good. We are on YouTube, although, I'm not really focusing on YouTube. Plus, I don't see anybody talking over there, so that's fine. That's the one thing I wanted to get up and running before. I need to put. I kind of want to put a check right here before this to see if sudoers underscore outdated exists. And if it does exist, then I'm just not going to run this. So this will be like if the return code for the register that I do before, the variable registered before, then I don't run the playbook anymore. That's a problem Callie had for a while. He got rid of root by default because of how many issues it caused for an experience. And yeah. Well, a lot of these, I mean, all my Ubuntu boxes, when you first create them, you have to be a normal user and then sudo up to root. That's how a lot of, because yeah, I mean, being root is I don't want to say too powerful for most people. It's just most people don't care to or know how to clean up their system, so they will cause themselves problems over time. All right. Yeah, let's add this one little additional check in here, and it's going to be right here, and it's going to look like this. Check to see if sudoers outdated already exists, and this will be a shell. This could be shell, and the shell command is just going to be I don't know, we can do ls, let's see, sudoers.d, sudoers outdated, right? And then we're going to say failed when false, because I'm not going to let it ever fail. And I'm going to register sudoers check, like that, right? And then right in here, I'm going to write a name debug out sudoers check to make sure it is what we expect, right? And then we'll do debug, and the debug we will say is var sudoers check, and it'll only run on a verbosity of 2. So this is one of those things where only if you do -vv will this run, otherwise it won't. So let's escape colon wq. Let's run this playbook. But now we're going to dash right here, vv. Now it's going to run it. It's still going to run everything. That's fine. But now it's going to check. Skipping all those callbacks. Wonderful. Now this debug is going to dump a lot, but we just want to look for the return code. What's the return code that comes out of this? So it's got a back. It's got all that stuff. Everything's good. Let's go look at. Here's my variable. Sudoers check. So the return code was 0, meaning it found it. So we're going to say when return code, so sudoers underscore check dot return code is equal to 1, right? Yeah. And if we needed to check that, because I'm always showing you guys that I love checking things, I gotta always check things. We're gonna say Ansible right here. Conditionals. We can come down here and we can look for when some variable equals something. Right? When some variable equals something. And in this case, we just want, we don't need to go any deeper. That's message of the day. Look at this. They did a very similar thing to me. They looked for it, they registered a home directory, and then they did something with it. When the result is failed, nope, don't care about that stuff. When who is defined, don't care about that. When item is greater than something, that's for conditional loops. Nope. Let's see. We can get away. We can get away with that general. So we're only going to move the current one when sudoers check.rc is equal to, just like this, 1. If it's 0, which is what we were seeing here, it's already there, right? So it doesn't have to be done again. Need to bounce. Yeah, thanks for coming, Inspector. Yeah, when sudoers check RC is 1, then it'll do that. So we're going to see this skip on all these nodes right now because it doesn't need to happen again. And I'll take the -VVV off because I don't care. I know what it's going to be. Yep. So we'll run this. Yeah, make sure you guys follow Inspector. He really only streams to kind of show. I think he normally just does some videos and stuff like that. I'm not sure what else he does. By the way, we should see the skip. Yep, they're just skipping. Didn't have to copy that over anymore. So skipped it after. Meaning, what does that do? So you say, what does that mean? What does that do? Well, when we first get to a node for the first time ever, it's gonna back up whatever's there in etc sudoers. That can happen as many times as it wants because that's always going to be a new file. So you can back that up until the cows come home, and you're never going to run out of space on your system. We hope. Re-encoding some con. Nice, Inspector. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. I gotta start doing some more statistics than I've been doing lately. So that'll be good. Now we check to see if sudoers outdated is already there. That will only be there if this has run before. If it hasn't been run before, there's no chance on any of our systems that sudoers_outdated exists. So good. Then we'll come down here and we'll debug if we need to, but again, that won't happen unless we want to. Then, if sudoers_outdated is there, then we will push, or if it's not there, we will copy the sudoers that's there to etc sudoers_outdated. Once that file's created, these things here will never happen again. Well, those top two can happen, but this will never happen again once that's there. Meaning that part becomes idempotent, right? It doesn't change anymore. Down here, we'll remove that line if it's there. It only does it if it's there. And then we'll move on to copying the new one in. So this is good because what I want to avoid, and what's happened in this lab, but I didn't really care because it was a home lab, is this sudoers new got pushed the first time, and then when I reran it, it pushed over the backup here, and then now I have the same file twice. And I don't ever want to do that in my environment. I never want to overwrite this sudoers_outdated. Am I using VI tabs? No. VI. I'm just in normal VI right here, and then I have screen on the bottom of my screen. So that's screen running down there that you're seeing. But no, I'm not using VI tabs. I don't know that I've ever used VI tabs ever. I just have screen across the bottom. So some people like Tmux. I'm a screen guy, so I just run screen at the bottom. I'm very simple, guys. I was talking about this earlier at work. Like people were, looking at some of the stuff that I had built with like Grafana and this monitoring stuff, and I told them, I was like, guys, this looks complex, but it's all just a simple set of things that I did. And then when we're done and you back up, it looks like a really nice thing. It looks like a lot of stuff going on, but it's not. It's all simple things. And that's how pretty much everything I do is. Anybody that was here at the beginning of stream an hour ago, this was nothing. I actually stole these top lines from myself from another thing, and everything else here we just wrote, right? We went and we looked up the things that we didn't remember how to do, which were the line and file stuff. That took me a little while, but most all this stuff, and by the way, this is for work tomorrow. The only thing I have to change for work is this to a £. Everything else here is exactly what I'll be using. I'll test it a few times, and then I'm going to walk over it with somebody. Actually, I've got an environment so I'm going to just copy this, send it to myself in an email, run it on this system. I've got some test boxes to run it against, and then I'm going to go. So yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to run against 1,200 nodes in my cluster, but I'll test it first. I always test things. I'm a big tester. I like to test, keep your blast radius small, make sure there's no failures in logic of the things you're doing. This right here would have eventually become a problem because, again, this was always going to be writing over, and after you ran it the second time, it would be a mess. So I wrote this in so that it doesn't do that anymore unless it has to. It'll only make this file once, ever. This playbook will never overwrite that file once it's there. In fact, I'm going to probably have to have another playbook that wipes this in case I have to do it again. And I have to copy it. Maybe I'll copy it from the backup, the most recent, the newest of the backups, right? I can get that and then push that if I need to fix it, right? Because possibly I blow this up and I need to have a rollback, so I always have a rollback version of things, and that'll be to grab this. The rollback will be easy. It'll be grab this file and dump it back over. Well, we'll delete this file right here, the sudoers.d, and then write this one back over sudoers right here. That's it. Why does it remove the include line from the backup? Doesn't the backup become irrelevant? No. This is the backup here, the Etsy sudoers.back. This will never run again. The one that it's copying into Etsy sudoers.d is still a real file. This is still part of sudoers. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, there's a big monolithic sudoers now, and there's a bunch of old stuff that either is or isn't needed. I don't know right now. But what I do know is I'm not going to edit that file. That's too much of a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift that file up and move it off into its old sudoers outdated. That's where it's going to sit. And then I'm going to have a nice clean little sudoers file that I make brand new, that I already have. Or, well, I'm going to get one. And that'll be my brand new sudoers. So then I'll have my brand new sudoers sitting in there that never changes in my environment. In fact, I can test across all the cluster that it's all perfect. That'll be my sudoers file. The sudoers outdated will slowly die in place. As we build new servers, the only people that get dropped in Etsy sudoers.d will be people that have the permissions that they should. So what this is almost like a super slow audit to remove permissions that aren't needed anymore from the cluster. And you say, well, how do you do that? Well, because you'll always have somebody or some process that breaks and yells if you just cut everything out. What you do instead is on all your new builds, you tell people to test all the functionality they need, but you only give them the bare minimum. You don't have this big bloated ass sudoer file, which right now, this sudoers file is just walking forward from all this old bullshit. And I mean, there's things in our, and this happens everywhere, guys. Don't think this is unique to the cluster I'm working on. I've been in a lot of environments. The sudoers file keeps moving forward. Yeah, you can have as many as you want. Sudoers.d is an extension of sudoers. You can have as many as you want. Yep. Yeah, you can have as many files as you want down in there. So in the future, let's say again, I was making up users, and I was saying let's say there's these KLC users, and on their 30 nodes, they need these subset of sudo permissions. I can make a file for them that when I deploy their application or their code or whatever, as I'm deploying it, I also drop a little Etsy sudoers.d KLC users file in that directory only on those nodes. Very easy for me to come through and audit permissions across my whole cluster later, because Etsy sudoers is a really small file, and all additional permissions that exist anywhere in the cluster are in Etsy sudoers.d, and then there are a bunch of flat files that can just be added or removed as needed. It's like the idea that I have like a bunch of little Lego bricks that I can change around. It's all modular, right? Yeah, you can have as many active sudoers as you want. Yep. As long as you remove this, because you can't keep having it recursively go in on itself. Yeah, so sometimes they will understand what they need, but typically by the time it gets to prod, we have to have it locked down. So a lot of times in environments, my dev guys will have their own servers that we allow them to build, and we will give them root on that. They'll have root on their dev environment, but devs will never have root in prod. We'll never give them root. So, well, or however you want to think of that. Management will never give, because root has to be the smallest number of people in prod. The more you give, the more likely things break. So, anyway, so this is my inelegant little solution to this problem, and I am going to end up running this almost this exact thing, only going to have to change that against the whole cluster. I probably won't run it tomorrow, but it'll be soon. I'm gonna test it some tomorrow on. I've got a few nodes in like a test cluster that are mine to do whatever I want with, and then after that, after that we're good. Yeah, Robodom. I've been essentially root for the last 20 years. I'm always at the helm of something in the company, which, I mean, there's a lot of responsibility there, but there's also that's like a big part of being a systems admin and then eventually a systems engineer, is you have to be willing to. Um, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like an engineer's hubris, but you have to trust yourself that you're going to come to the right solution and be able to fix the things as needed or whatever. So, all right. Now my system rebooted itself yesterday, so let's go to Ranger Cam. Let's see if Ranger Cam's up. That should be Nagios admin. And Ranger Cam. There's Ranger Cam. All right. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Take a little break, and then maybe we'll talk through. Let's go Hourglass. Let's say quick break. Break. And Ranger treat. And then while we're on the break, hold on. There's no way people need to work prod. Yeah. Quick break, Ranger treat. Real quick, I'm gonna put a thing up for you guys. This will be for the people only on the Twitch side of things. Let's make a poll, and let's say, what are we doing next? We'll do Linux Labs, Security Labs, Cloud, Topics, Kubernetes Labs, I don't know. Or let's say, I don't know. What else? What else might we talk about? I don't know. General engineering. How about we talk about those? What are we working on next? You guys can decide what we're working on next. And there's a poll up, so you guys can choose whatever you want in there. And career day tomorrow. Nice. Are you finding a job? Let me turn on. Let me go take a break real quick with Ranger, and I'll be right back. But make sure you guys vote if you want to pick what we're doing next. You guys can vote. Oh, nice, for the internship. Awesome. So you guys got 10 minutes to vote, and 8 minutes on the break. I'll be right back. Guys, I didn't have time to give Ranger a treat. He'll be alright. Ranger will be alright. I'll give him a treat here in a little bit. Is he like licking his bed? God, Ranger looks so sad. You guys want to do Linux labs? Looks like that's what everybody's doing. Everybody's poking on Linux labs, so that's fair. That's what we'll do. What's PNNL material? I'm not sure what that is. Do all Linux. Alright. I probably missed some talking. Oh, you guys want to do networking? All right. Hold on. I will restart the poll. It says I can report the poll. Let's see. Let's see what you guys decide. If it's just you, Less Than T, if you're the only one who decided or has been voting, I'll do networking. Yeah, you want to know how wildcards work and subnets and subnet masking and wildcard masking? Okay. Okay. Oh wait, let's see if I can stop that poll. Can I end the poll? Hold on. Let's delete the poll. It says that it was just lab. We're gonna go. What do we do next? Linux labs or networking? And I'm only gonna give this one 2 minutes. So, if the people that voted for Linux labs still want Linux, they can do that. But if you want networking instead, go for the networking. And I'll let this decide because Linux was gonna win, so now we're having like a runoff between Linux and networking. Yeah, so Less Than T, the only thing a wildcard masks is what bits matter and what bits don't matter to the matching. That's all a wildcard mask does. And the whole reason it's the inverse is because you just want to say, what do I care to match with a wildcard? That's all it is. I'll show you what it means. I'll show you here. You don't have to put all your points in it. Shoot, I think networking's going to win. But somebody still wants to probably do Linux, and maybe we'll get a little Linux in there as we go. Maybe Linux is the friends we made along the way. Yeah, networking. So we'll do some networking, and that'll be good. So let's get out of here, and yep, get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of this for now, and let me pull up my networking primer. We'll just do the networking primer, and then if you want more of that, I also have that over on YouTube side of things. So the YouTube side of things has this same presentation that we went through before. It's called ProLug Networking Primer. So this is kind of my high level looking at networking and what I think you need to know at like a high level thing. Yeah, Less Than T. I'll show you how it works, and I think once you see how it works, it'll make everything else work. I think it will, anyways, for you. We'll do that in the subnetting section, but I'll just show you how wildcard masks work in that same regard, and hopefully that'll make sense to you. So okay. So this comes from the ProLug primer that we did. This is on YouTube in its entirety, but we'll go through it and then we'll talk about some of those specific things. So I'll just hit all the pieces because I think that this is valuable to people, probably, if you don't do networking. Now, everybody does networking, no matter where you're at. If you're in the systems world, you're touching a network at some point, right? So, yeah. So I can actually show you. I have. Do I have any labs on the actual wildcard mask part of the Cisco? Um, I don't have any labs that I can show you guys on that because they're all college based. Um, but I'll show you the principle of it, and then hopefully it'll work for you in your brain. So let's go through this real quick. So here's some quotes to get you interested. Things nowadays are, mostly networking problems. Pretty much everything has spent time becoming networking problems over time. This guy's convinced that there's ghosts now, right? Because when you're doing networking and weird stuff starts happening, we're really just passing bits over a line. What the hell else is going on, right? So here's our topic: simple communication model. Then we'll talk about networking overview. The 3 types of addresses that we have. There's arguably a 4th type of addresses, which are ports, but maybe we can talk about that. How and why we subnet, and when we get in there, I'll show you guys wildcard masking as well, specifically for the Cisco side of things. Although I won't be typing in the wildcard mask, I'll just be showing it. And then decimal to binary equations, equations that make this all work. So how this stuff works, I'll show that as much as we need. And then just an OSI walkthrough of things that I think are important to know about at each level, right? So this is, you know what, I'm going to change the title and just say skills to get the engineering job, networking topics, right? So I'll add networking topics in on our science and technology stuff for today because, that's what we're doing. All right, so terminal course objectives. When you're done with this, if you watched this whole thing or if you went over and watched it on YouTube, you should be able to describe all the components of computer networking. I'll mention them and break them down for you. Understand how and why we subnet larger networks into smaller ones. There's reasons for that, right? Understand the flow of data through the network. Specifically, that at each layer there is a PDU, and that PDU, what's called a protocol data or data unit, I don't care how you say it, of each of the OSI model, and they're different at each layer. And then understand the term modularity and how it applies to the model. So modularity is the idea that we can pull any piece out, plug a new piece in there, and as long as it interacts correctly with the piece above it and the one piece below it, only up and down, that's the only things it has to communicate with. It does not matter for the rest of the model. What do I mean by that? If you changed out the TCP/IP stack and went to something else, you shouldn't have to, strictly speaking, change whether you're on a wire or wireless connection. That should be still capable even if you only moved out some piece up higher in the stack somewhere. So that's a thing to understand. And then out of scope, becoming an expert. This is a survey of high-level concepts. You should have enough to dig in and go learn about other things, right? The teaching and learning of networking in general is years and years of study, right? And years and years of using it. So this is not designed to make you an expert. It's just designed to give you the pieces that you need probably as a systems engineer, right? Okay. So here's a simple communication model. There are 5 pieces to it. Those 5 pieces always exist. There is nowhere known to any of us where simple communication occurs that is anything simpler than this. There's none. We've never found it. Tiniest little ant all the way up to a rocket or talking to a satellite. You have a sender, a receiver, a message, a medium, and noise. Those things are always there. The sender encodes a message with some protocol. Protocol is the rules that govern how communication occurs. That's the definition of protocol, right? So the sender encodes a message to be transmitted over a medium, affected by noise until it gets decoded on the far end by the receiver. Those 5 pieces must be there. Now, that's the simple communication model. There's another one that comes later called the effective communication model. And if anybody cares about that model looks like this. That adds 1 piece. There's a 6th piece, which is right here. And in effective, right? Effective, yeah, I know. There is a feedback loop. Feedback, which is the 6th piece, is what's called effective communication. But the simple communication model has those 5 pieces. There's nothing that we know of that effectively communicates that doesn't have at least those 5 pieces. And then for effective, or some people call it human communication, there's always a feedback loop. All right. neither here nor there, but that's something to think about as you're doing this. What is a sender? What's a receiver? What's my message? What's my protocol being used? All those things have to be there, and in all of networking, those things have to be aligned. So that's fun. That makes everything easier. All right. So networking fundamentals, some terminology that you're just going to see pop up as you draw things and as you read docs and as you go out and do, research and stuff in the networking world. You're going to run into TX and RX. In that last drawing, the TX is the sender and the RX is the receiver. You will see that model often in the way that data is flowing through channels in networking drawings. There's a transmit and a transmit, sender, and receiver, especially when you're looking at like pinout of pairs for like UTP, unshielded twisted pair cables, those kind of things. There's DCE and DTE, data circuit equipment and data terminal equipment. And typically the DCE is on the vendor side and it's responsible for the clock rate, right? Boom, boom, boom. Everything on a serial transmission is always set to the beat of time. Common time 4/4, right? I like that it did 4/4 like that for me. Yeah, it's common time, right? Hey, how's it going, Salty Waffles? Hey, thanks for the Prime. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. It looks like my alerts are working. My alerts were busted earlier. I think I had some of them messed up, but yeah. Hopefully this stuff's useful. AS is an autonomous system. You will hear this in networking, like one AS, and that's a networking system under one administrator or company control. So my autonomous system is my home lab all the way out to my modem that then connects to, I have an internal modem, and then that device connects out to the world, and that is where my demarcation occurs. The demarcation is the point that defines the ending of one autonomous system and the start of mine. This is if you've ever called your internet provider, you're renting the internet, right? You're never going to own the internet. You're only going to ever rent it, right? You're going to pay that lease every month to use the internet at home. That demarcation is where their responsibility ends. They can hit that MAC address of that device that you've connected to their network, and your responsibility is everything inside. I can't call up Cox Internet and say, hey, can you troubleshoot why my Wi-Fi doesn't work? Hold on. You can have that as a service, but just know that at that point, their demarcation is ending further because you've given up all responsibility for that. And some people have done that around here. I know in the Phoenix area, I imagine there's other places in the country, people will say, no, just come in and set the whole thing up, and all the way to my little tablet, as long as I have my pre-shared key, right, WPA2 pre-shared key, as long as I have that, I can just connect. And that's what some people want. And the demarcation in that point is you're just the end device. That's just you. That's fine. That's fine if that's how you want to do it. But in most cases, like for me, it ends here. A lot of networking people will end here, and then I've got all my racks behind me. That's all part of my autonomous system, right? And then just another term for engineers to know is metrics. Metrics are any unit of measurement to differentiate things. A metric can be the temperature outside. And then there's discrete metrics, which are based on numbers, and then there's continuous metrics that are based on continuation. So there's what are those called? Somebody help me out here. Typically ends up if you're dealing with individual steps or continuous. What the heck is that? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to this. Metrics are how we determine distance of things and all these things. Metrics are any unit of measurement in our system, right? Yeah, I forget what it is, Rogodom. It doesn't matter. All right. 3 primary types of addresses that you're going to deal with. Hi, this is networking, new super agent. This is all networking right here. All of this it's like a little networking primer I've got, where I just kind of talk through some things. I got asked specifically to show, very specifically, some networking for wildcards, and I was just talking up to there until I got to wildcards. In fact, I don't even talk about wildcards in this one because this doesn't. This wasn't about programming Cisco, but when we get to the wildcard thing, I think it'll make sense to the person who was asking, because when I show subnetting going out this way and then wildcarding coming back this way, I think it'll make sense to somebody. So I think it'll make sense to pretty much anybody. So, but let's keep going. So layer 7 DNS, right? That's how we translate like Google to the system usable address, and then how our system gets there with either IPv4 or IPv6 type addresses, right? That maps down to layer 3. Layer 3 is IP addressing. IP addressing is hierarchical. Boom, got it. I wasn't sure I was going to get that word right. Hierarchical means that there is a logical hierarchy where we can send data up to some point and it'll come down the other way. And when it goes up one way and comes down the other way, it will be able to aggregate up and be routed to the places that it needs to know, where it needs to go. I just had something happen on my other system. Okay. Anyways. And then the last one that we got to kind of talk about a little bit is MAC addressing. MAC addressing is non-hierarchical. What that means when you look at that and you go, Scott, what are you saying? Let's break it down in the simplest terms. IP addressing matters where you are, because logically I have to be able to flow data to you based on where you are. MAC addressing does not matter where you are, because I can't logically get data to you. What I mean by that, MAC addressing is like my name. My name is Scott, or Het for people on here. Robodom is Robodom. Salty Waffles is Salty Waffles. And if they move anywhere else in this country, that is still their name. My name's still Scott, still got Robodom, still got Salty. That's how MAC addressing works. So you can't just write a letter to Scott and throw it in your mailbox and ever expect it to get there. There's no hierarchy for it to travel and get over to me, right? There's no logic to the addressing. Whereas with IP addressing, there is, and we'll talk about that a little bit kind of as we go. But those are the differences between them. MAC addresses is very important, man. This next part isn't so important, the rant I'm going to go on, but the thing about this is important. MAC addresses never leave the next hop. The frame that my system has, as even I'm talking to you guys, the frame that's leaving this computer and going to that router right there, sitting on the floor back here, my little Asus kind of nice little, looks like a spaceship type router. That frame gets stripped off there and never leaves. My MAC address never leaves this network. So when you watch like crime shows and they're like, I tracked the MAC address back to it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. The MAC address is always the next hop. That's it. Full stop. Doesn't go any further than that. All right. There's literally nothing else to that. It doesn't. It strips down every time, and the bottom two layers come off each time. All right. Doesn't matter. But I see that on crime shows all the time, and I'm like. And also the other one is, they're streaming data or whatever, but we can't find their source IP, and I'm like, well then how is it sending the data back? All right. Anyways. All right. Got to suspend disbelief a little bit. All right. So we'll do a quick binary rundown. Well, let me ask this: does anybody need the quick binary rundown? Do you guys want me to do this? Does anybody here, and I do the same thing I do with my college students, if anybody says I need it, I'll do it. But if not, we'll just skip this part. So this is if you need binary rundown. If you need, like, how does binary work? I've never changed some bits around and that kind of stuff. Everything goes down to binary eventually. All right. But if everybody's okay with this, I'll move on. But if people need it, I'll do this for a few minutes. All right. Let's do this real quick then. Let's go all the way back. Where the hell's my pen at? Let's go all the way back for some people to probably like 5th or 6th grade. No wonder you like networking. So this is a quick binary rundown. Let's do something real quick. I'm going to put this off to the side here. And I'm just going to draw something right here. I've drawn this before. Some of you have seen this before. And I just put 3 numbers there. What is this number right here? And while you're writing that down, while you guys are writing that, I'm going to draw some other numbers over here. Does everybody understand what's happening there? Look at that real quick. And let's say I said that I had that many dollars. What's that number right there? Anybody want to write it out in long form? Right? Remember when you had to do that in like 2nd or 3rd grade? You had to write 700 and whatever. Does anybody remember that? All right. But I want you to look at that number real quick, and then what are the other numbers that I did? Does everybody understand that? You probably learned that in like 5th or 6th grade, depending on what you were doing. And does everybody understand that? Okay, I didn't see anybody write it out, but I think you all know I have $783. Does everybody see that? I have $783. I put a dollar sign here, right? There's my dollar. 783 of them. But what is that really when you're looking at it? It's actually 7 100s, 8 10s, and 3 1s. Now you did that in your head because some of you probably grew up like me with like money in your wallet. Nowadays we just have money in a bank and probably have a card for the most part. Except I'm going to Mexico in a few weeks and I'll have pesos when I'm down there. Actually, I have a bunch of pesos here and then I get more before I go. But real quick, when you look at this base 10 numbering system, does anybody know why it's a base 10 numbering system? It's simply a base 10 because there are 10 symbols that I can use in each of these placeholders. That's it. And again, 5th or 6th grade for most people. Maybe even earlier if you were in like a nice private school or something, right? Hold on, we got a Ranger check. How's Ranger doing? Ranger has moved beds. He is not doing anything else. That's my dog Ranger downstairs, in case you guys are wondering. He's got a nice little open back area. He doesn't have the couches down there by him anymore. He's got a couple of beds and a nice little, can't really see the rug right here. And he's got his own fireplace. So don't ever let that dog act like, that's why it's a base 10 numbering system, Robodom, is there's 10 symbols. So there are 10 states of nature. That's what it is. That's how that exists. 0 through 9 is 10, right? So I can have a 3 here, and 10 to the power of 0 is the ones column. 10 to the power of 1, any number to the power of 1 is itself, so that's a tens column, and that's a hundreds column. That's where we got those symbols from. It's all mathematical, right? So look down here. So everybody, literally everybody here saw this and went, right? Because you knew how money worked. I like money, right? That guy from, what's that, Idiocracy? I like money. Sorry guys, I amused myself. Let's erase all this ink. Now let's come down here and let's see if we can't figure out this part. So in a binary numbering system, I have a 0 and I have a 1. Those are the two states of nature that can exist for binary. It's like Bender's prayer. 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 1 2. If you guys ever saw Bender's prayer, it's in the Devil's one, because he gets dragged to robot hell. No, is that different? When he goes to robot hell, that's not the Devil's hands. That's a different one. Yeah, it's when it's when Bender finds religion, right? So, anyways, here's 0 and 1. So now I can represent either 2 to the power of 0, which is the ones column still. Anything to the 0 is the ones. 2 to the power of 1, which is the twos column. 2 to the power of 2, which is 4. This is the same template that I just said, right? Be funny if the CC said amen. Did it not say amen? It did. Yeah, I said it. So, let's say that I wanted to take some numbers and force them from decimal, like this, 192, 168, 0, 1, and I needed to turn them back into binary. So some people struggle with this, or they've never seen it before. So how do I get this 192 here, which is decimal, right? This is a base 10 numbering system. That's the worst base 10 I've ever written. Anyways, it's base 10. And get that down into here. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to start at the left, and I'm going to say, in a 192, can I fit a 128? Can I extract a 128 from that? And the answer is most certainly yes. So I'm going to turn that bit on right there. And then, when I do that, I'm going to be left with a 64, right? Do a little bit of quick math. And then I've got this next place, which is the 64s. Can I get a 64 out of a 64? I sure can. Do I have anything left over? Nope. So that was decimal to binary as a conversion for IPv4. Let's do 168. Can I get a 128 out of it? Yes. Here's my 128s column. Yes. And then, when I take a 128 out, I only have 40 left over. Can I squeeze a 64 out of 40? No. Can I get a 32 out of 40, though? Yes. That leaves me with 8. Now, if I got 8, can I get a 16 out of there? No. But I can get an 8. So I cannot get a 4, I cannot get a 2, and I cannot get a 1. That's 168 broken down. 0 is easy. There are no 128s, no 64s, no 32s, no 16s. How about 1? There's no 128s, no 64s, no 32s, no 16s, no 8s, no 4s, no 2s, but there is a 1. So that is that 192.168.0.1 broken down into binary right there. So, the question started out, could I show wildcard masking? Now, down here, this mask is a subnet mask. Subnet mask. And a subnet mask for me works like this. If this was just the base network, it would be a /24. How do I know it's a /24? Well, that's 192, which is a class C address, because in the first octet, it's between 192 and 223. Come down here, and then I find that that has 24 network bits. So that's 24 network bits right there, 24 network bits right there, and /24 means over here network bits become 1s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then those are all zeros. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I have all of these off, I have a 0. And if I have all of these on, the top number is 255. Because 0 to 255 is all the states of nature that can be represented by an 8-bit decimal system, right? Or a binary system. So when we convert this back, that makes this 255, 255.0. Now that's a subnet mask. What if I wanted the wildcard mask of matching this, though? So subnet masks always count this way. Wildcard masks always count this way. What if I said to myself, I said, self, I want to track, or I want to know, I want to have this rule apply to everything in 192.168.0, and then I want 0 through 7. I want it to apply to this. And I want to use a wildcard mask for that. Well, 0 to 7, you would be counting this way for a wildcard mask. It'll be wildcard mask. And if I have this matched, and this matched, that would be 7. And all of these would be zeros. So my wildcard mask would be 0.0.0.7. That would be my wildcard mask going that way if I wanted to match in the 192.168.0 network 0 through 7. So what that means then with wildcard masks is if I wanted to map, let's say I wanted to map everything 192.168, and then I don't even care. I wanted to just map all of that. Then I would do, in this case, I would do my wildcard mask ones all the way to here. And it would be 0.0.255.255. Like that. That's how I would know to count that way for my wildcard masks. And then anything that I need to map, as long as I can mathematically do it, I will count it that way. But you might say, well, hold on, but, what if I said do track 24 through 190, and I would go, well, there's no one clean way to do that. So what I would have to do is I would have to count out enough to capture all that, which would be at least to here. And to map all of that, I would have to also track other things, right? So that wildcard mask, in this case, where the person's like, can I stump you? 0.0.0.255. Because that's the only way to be small enough to see the things I want, but still capture everything in there for against the rule. And you say, can't you be more granular? I mean, not with the generic idea of a subnet mask one way or a wildcard mask the other way. No, you can't. I guess you can make multiple rules and capture smaller portions of that, but that would be a nightmare. But yeah. Anyways, that's how that works. So if less than t is around, hopefully that's useful to you, right? Can I ask a specific problem that I was running into, like specific? Yeah, less than t, please. Yeah, ask me any of those and we'll figure it out. Let me scrape this clean. We'll get back into this in a minute. But yeah, I should be able to do that. Yeah, Django, we're doing subnetting, but really wildcard masking. So I was showing wildcard masking counts the other way, and we're gonna have a question here from something Cisco related. And let me pull up. There's probably a good reference out there. Also, we had Ranger check. There's Ranger. He's downstairs. That's real time, by the way. It is 5:52 here, so that's Ranger. Sun setting on the back of the house. My house faces east, so that's the back, which is west. And funny enough, it kind of looks like my back screen door is open. I have a security door here, but it kind of looks like that's open. So maybe I gotta go check on Ranger and see if anything's going on. Ranger check. Yeah, there. Well, we're on Ranger check here. We'll take a break here in a little bit. I took one a little while ago. But we'll take a break in a little bit, and I'll go give Ranger a treat. Can one write a question on RDP? You can ask something on RDP if you want. I mean, my limited knowledge of RDP is probably that mostly it's mostly that it's on port 3389. That's the extent of most of what I know on RDP. But you can ask me that stuff if you want. Configuring OSPF on a router, and I want to configure less than T. Can you drop that in I'm sorry. Can you drop that in networking real quick? I can't see it. It's blocking. Can you drop that in like networking topics on the thing? Here. And then I'll pull it up if you don't mind. No, the diagram if you want, but I'm getting a bunch of pound signs. It shows me pound signs. It doesn't show me the actual text. Okay, you did it. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this up here like this. Hold on. So here's the question, guys. That was our suit. I had to write some stuff earlier. All right, boom. Can I show that picture? Are you okay with me showing that picture? You're okay with that, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's look at this real quick. So we're trying to add multiple of these, but we want to do it in one type of command. So here's the thing. So we want 10.0 and 10.13, right? We want to match those, and then you want to do it with one wildcard mask that maps all of those, right? So how we could do that with the wildcard mask would be like this. So let's get this out of the way. This can just move down here. And then, so 10.12, and that's a /30. 10.13 /, yeah, so if you want to map, or if you want to match all of that, the wildcard mask for this looks like this. So let me just write this so I have it. It's 10.0.12, whoops, .0 and 10.0.13.0, right? And you want the wildcard mask that matches those two. Make sure. Yep. Okay. So the question here, at the crux of this all is we don't care about anything here. Nothing here matters to this question, guys. And here, where we care is what's 12 and 13 right here. So 12 is 0, 0, 0, 0, because it's none of those. It's 8, it's 4, and it's a 0 all the way out. So that's 12. 8 and 4, right? 8 and 4. And 13 is 1, 1, 0, 1 here. So if you wanted to match all of those, right, and we're not worried about anything over here, you have to match all the way out to this bit right here. So this has to be a wildcard of 0.0. This should, now this is going to be, I don't want to say expansive over it, but it's going to include some more because it's going to include the whole range. That'll be 16.255 because they'll be all ones here. And then that would map everything. However, it will also get from 0.0.0 through 0 all the way up through. Sorry, it will get everything from 10.0.0.0 through 10.0.15.0 in that. Like we can't be super precise, but that should match those two networks right there, if that makes sense. I'm working on BGP design these days. Not sure why you chose BGP. Yeah, BGP is whenever you're doing border gateway between autonomous systems always. So that should be that. Let's see the diagram again. Here's the where did the diagram go? I think I moved it down. There's the diagram, and here's the question he had, right? So you want to map to the 12 and the 13. But wildcard masks always have to go all the way to the end with ones. Yeah. That's why a lot of people call them an inverse of subnets, because subnets match so that our networks know where so our devices know what network I'm on, but a wildcard tells the device to match everything in here and not worry about that because that's going to be set wherever. So yeah, that should match that with the wildcard mask. Yeah, that should do it for you. Default switch, hypervisor V. Yeah, less than T. I think that should work for you. This one should work. I'm trying to think. I mean, I haven't used them in a while, but that should. Oh, and did I do 16? Sorry, that's 15. That's my bad. The answer is 0.0.15.255. That was my bad. Not 16. Don't put a 16 in there; it'll break. It's 15.255 because it's all ones there. So don't listen to me with the 16 stuff. Let's get back to this other question. What's this question? It's about for some reason can't get RDP through the default switch, but it has Hyper-V Manager itself accesses. I don't know Hyper-V very well either, guys, unfortunately. But let's see. Access it through as well. Yes, on the same machine, but already through RDP on it. Like, sadly, I can't find another network card, and I have to use the default switch. Like, one could use the Hyper-V Manager itself, but chooses the wrong GPU, so I hope to be able to specify that. I know this question is long. My extent of RDP, I can jump into RDP on boxes, but that's it. Hypervisor to me is almost always like I'm jumping in and doing console access, and then the console access can do certain things. I don't know, man. I don't know, and I guess it depends what you're trying to do, too. You want to RDP. Also, another thing about RDPing in, you're never going to get very good graphic rates out of RDP. Like, you're going to get probably 5 or 7 frame rate. It's pretty bad. Desktop rendered through, so you know why GPU just interesting. So you can get, I unfortunately don't know much about that, and your Hyper-V is always going to be slow. Brilliant JS, should it be 3? Yeah. So if he only wanted to match those individual nodes, he could use a /30. He could use a 0003. But he wanted to do it in one command. So Brilliant JS, he wanted to get the whole thing. So, yeah. Spice instead of RDP, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Django, and I used to do RDP long ago, but then if I ever have had to maintain Windows boxes in the last 15 years, and I don't admit this, it's not on my resume, I always use PowerShell to hit them. I've not been in a GUI on a Linux or on a Windows server. Well, Linux server for that matter either. I haven't been on a GUI for administration never on a Linux box. And on a Windows box probably over 15 years, right? I've always done things through PowerShell. So, and again, I don't admit to that very often. So, oh no, that's fine, Brilliant. You're right. If he wanted to do 2 commands, he was trying to get it in 1 command. That's the only reason I did such a big one here as a .15 was he wanted to match 12 and 13 in 1 command. So he had to go all the way out here. He had a 10.0.12 and a 10.0.13. The /30 would have thrown me off too if he was trying to do 2 different network. He could have done it with 2 commands, but if he wanted to do it in 1 command, he's got to come all the way out and match those. That's the only reason that was different. Yeah. Okay. So a little more on networking. Some of you guys probably have been on subnet networks, and not everybody here. Look, we're a Linux group. We're like a Linux community. The whole goal of this is to get you guys doing Linux, but we still exist in a world of networking, so we have to know some of this stuff. So why do we subnet, right? This is a question. And by the way, I've taught subnetting in college for 15 years now, and I get to watch other teachers because we have this what we call a modality. Modality is just a term for a way of doing a thing, right? And right, I'm getting all pedantic over here, but and then being pedantic is pedantic. All right, anyways, but my point is, in the systems world, I get to watch other professors, and a lot of times, and I've noticed this, and I learned this about myself over time. We'll talk about subnetting all over the place, and then like a student will like raise their hand in like the last week of a class and be like, "Why do we subnet?" And like we've explained over and over again how to do the subnetting, but nobody ever told anybody, or somebody. And you can miss things, right? People miss things all the time. You read a text, but you still miss it. So maybe nobody's ever showed you why we subnet. So let me just break down one of these networks. Why do we subnet, real quick? Because hopefully this makes something click for some of you, right? And I'm telling you guys, like I've seen it before. I don't remember as I learned subnetting. I started learning subnetting back in 2000, but I know that there was a point for me where it clicked. I didn't learn this stuff the first day. I tell my students that all the time. Yeah. So it's like a claim on a bunch of addresses. So here's a network, a Class C network, in fact, 0 through 255, and it's visually represented for us as a big room, right? And then we come down here, and I say you're given a network, 192.168.1.0/24. That's 256 total addresses in one space. But you'll always hear guys like me say, but you have to subtract 2 addresses. Well, why? Why don't I get all 256 of them? Why are you taking back 2 of my addresses? Well, because this first one, right here, which is all zeros in the space, is the network. Some people also call this the network name, but it's the network address. And this one down here is when I'm yelling at everybody, it's the broadcast. Right? So it's a broadcast address. And everything in here is there. So let's say me and another streamer wanted to be in this address space, and we didn't break this down in any way. Me, and I always use college professors, me and Dr. Marzouk or whoever the other college professor is, and I'm over here, right? I'm a teacher. Got big, and I'm yelling like this, right? And all my students are sitting here, and they're tiny, and they're terrified. And when I yell, I have to yell at this address. And Dr. Marzouk is over here, and he's yelling at his students. They're all tiny and terrified. They're not all tiny, but, right? And when he yells, he also has to yell at this address. But what would happen here? We'd have all kinds of problems, right? We'd be yelling over each other. And that's exactly how it works in the networking space. If you've got everything in one big subnet, I get the 256 isn't very big, but the point is, everything would talk to everything, and the broadcast, which we have to broadcast to ask for ARP and all these other tools, projecting terror, yeah. Why do I yell at my students, Robodom? Who here knows why I yell at my students? Anybody know why I yell at my college students? Somebody tell them. All right. What if I went here and I carved this network up like this? And then when I carved this network up, now I'm over here in my classroom and I can yell at 127. And Dr. Marzouk's down in this classroom and he can still yell at 255, but now there's no conflict anymore. Yeah, thanks for coming by. I see. Hopefully I mean, we didn't answer your question, but hopefully you find it. So that's why we subnet to be able to split this out. But when I did that, I had to borrow a network bit. One of my host bits had to become a network bit, right? So this is how we chop this up. So then let me erase all this. What if I needed to make this even smaller? So then I come here and I borrow another one, and now I've got 4 networks of all 1/4 the original size, and now I'm yelling at 63 for this network, and 64 for 127 for this network, and 191, and still 255 for this last network. And then what if I borrowed another bit? Then I would have 192.168.1.0/27. So I've borrowed these bits, and I would have 8 networks here, 0 through 31. There would be 30 usable. There would be 1 through 30, 33 through 62, 65 through 94, 97 through 126. And by the way, 192, 168, 1 each time. Yeah, we'd be borrowing. So let's look at this. Hey, by the way, King Buns, thanks for coming back. Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully you're all settled in. Let's say I wanted to do this, and then we'll go look at that again. I'm going to use the same template I've been using. This is, by the way, guys, I use this template because I'm very simple. Once I have something that works for me, I never go and change it. I always do it the same way. So this is going to be the same breakdown we just did earlier, but now I'm going to move a little faster. We're going to do 192.168.1.0/27. So it starts out as a Class C address. So we know it's a Class C. So I can't touch anything to the left of this right here. For the purposes of this discussion, everything will be 192.168.1. That'll always be over there. Moving along, adjusting to the van life. Nice. Nice, King Buns. You're still coding, right? You're still professionally a software engineer, right? Yeah. The dividers that I always think of Hack the Planet is if you guys have ever been in like a big Marriott ballroom or something, and then they have those things that they can slide and like break it up into different rooms. That's kind of how I think of it. So let's check this out. 192. Can I break that down? Is there 128? Yes. Is there a 64? Yes. Nothing else. That's how we break 192 down into binary. 168, there is a 128. There is no 64, because there's only 40 left. There is a 32, which leaves 8 left, so there's no 16s. There is an 8, there is no 4, there is no 2, there is no 1. 1 is right here, with nothing here. Boom, boom, boom. Now, this is where it starts to get magical. That was a Class C address at 24. Somebody in our network borrowed 3 bits, so we come over 1, 2, 3. And now we have subnet bits here, which can be 8 states of nature. Let me prove it to you. 000, 001, 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, and 111. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are all the states of nature. Hey, Overgrown Carrot, how's it going? How's your stream been going? I didn't even get an alert. I didn't even see you were on today. So hopefully everything's going well for you guys over there. I don't know. I haven't seen you. Have you been streaming? Like lately? I haven't seen you on lately. So I don't know if I don't know, maybe my UI's broken or something. But yeah, if you guys don't follow Overgrown Carrot, he does security stuff over there. You mostly find him down in Cali. Even his symbol there is the old backtrack symbol. I don't know if that symbol moved forward to Cali, did it? That looks like the old backtrack symbol. So, when, if ever, do people use subnets improperly or unnecessarily? I don't think most networking people use them improperly, but I will tell you, if you ever work up in the cloud, you're going to find a good amount of in the cloud space. You're always going to get by default a /16, so you're going to be slashed over here, and you're going to have 65,534 addresses to play with however you want. So in the cloud space, you still have to think about it though. Like you might think, oh, that's a lot, I'll never run out of that. Yeah, but if you break those down into subnets, and then now you have to do routing between other VPCs, because you can have more than one VPC, you don't want to have endpoint devices trying to talk to another endpoint that's with the same base IP address. You'll have problems. So then now you have to involve NAT, and now you have to involve BGP, and there's like all these other things that have to get in there. Yeah, AWS gave this a subnet. Yeah. So look at this real quick. I'm gonna break these networks down. But how many subnets were there? There's 8. By the way, I had a faster and cheaper way to do that. If I knew there were 3 subnet bits, because slash 27 is 3 bigger than slash 24 that we started out with, right? What I could say here is that I could just use this equation, 2 to the power of s. S is 3, so 2 to the power of 3 is right here, which is 8. So I got the answer right there in my little table. That's why I have these tables, guys. I'm not trying to be sneaky. The tables are there for a reason. And then I say, how many hosts are there per subnet? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 host bits. And 5 host bits, come over here, hosts are 2 to the power of h minus 2. So 32 minus 2 is 30. So I have 240 total hosts in this network now. And there we go. So, yeah, and the reason I show this is because I don't want people to have to think when they're doing my template. But if you go, any of you guys that go, and you ever take this, and you take like a Network Plus or a CCNA, it's good to just write this down on your little scratch paper to start. So, thanks for the Prime. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. The Primes always keep me motivated. Also, you can use your Prime anywhere. You chose to use it here, so I always appreciate that. And Cypher Enigma, you haven't been around for a while. Hopefully everything's going good with you. I appreciate you guys coming by. Let me show you guys something here real quick then. So now, and hopefully this makes this click for somebody, because somebody's going to look at this right now and go, he either just cast a spell and did sorcery, or he just did simple math. Let's see which one of those two things I'm doing right here. If the first network is 0 right here, the network address is all zeros. So the first network is going to be 192.168.1.0. So I'm just going to write that right here, .0. And then the next network, which is right here, and if I don't know what place that is, I can come down here and look, that's 32. So my next network is going to be .32. And then if I go here, that's the 64s column. So my next network is going to be .64, right? Again, if all these host bits are off. Now, I'm going to keep going. The next one is this one is a 64 and a 32. That's a 96. All right. Hey there, how's it going? You're doing variable. I'm not doing variable length subnet masking yet here. Variable length subnet masking would be then if we took one of these networks and chopped them up further. And most modern routing, actually all modern routing protocols support that. But for right now, no, I'm just showing, Mr. Extremely, I'm just going over, this is a fixed link network right now. Fixed link, FSLM, right? Fixed link subnet masking. FLSM, as opposed to VLSM, variable length subnet masking. No, this is just fixed. So now I'm going to go up to here, and that's the .128. But what if I were to turn all of these host bits on right here? So this is the 0, right? Network is .0, and I turned all these bits on. These bits all being on would be 1 less than that one. Now I can cheat. 63, because it's 1 less than that one. And this one is 95, because it's 1 less than that one. And this one is 127, it's 1 less than that one. And I can keep going through them and figure all these out. And that's the range of the networks. These are the networks over here. These are the broadcasts. And then there's 2 other things in there. There's the first usable, which is a .1, and the last usable, which is .30 in this network. Those are the host networks. Now, remember these real quick. 0, 32, 64, 96, 128. Look at those. Nothing up my sleeve. I'm going to go back a page. 0, 32, 64, 96, 128, 160, 192, 224. I either just cast a spell or it's simple math. One of those two things. I'm not being sneaky here. There's literally nothing up my sleeves. I'm not trying to pull a rabbit out of my hat. What I'm showing you guys is you can look at it and understand it like this. This is how we break down the networks. And then you can come down here and find that you can mathematically map any one of them. If the text recognized voice were transmitted to the chat, it would be a great via the IRC client, for example. Nice. Yeah, this is, you know what's funny is this is actually just coming right out of, I wonder if I probably could find an API for that. That's coming right out of PowerPoint, by the way. PowerPoint does that, if you guys didn't know. So, Willfulness, you can actually use PowerPoint to just do closed captioning. I do that on meetings sometimes, and people are like, oh, how'd you do that? Mr. Extremely, you're doing CompTIA Plus. I'm not I'm not as much of a fan of CompTIA Plus or A Plus unless that's what you're like planning on doing, is like doing desktop type support and working at like one of those type places. I'm a bigger fan of Network Plus or Security Plus, but if you're doing CompTIA A Plus, do it. I think it's great, but I don't think that you. It depends what you want to do, right, Mr. Extremely? If you want to be like a server tech or like a network tech, um, CompTIA A Plus is great for that stuff. But then if you want to go more into like maybe the network side of things more and security side of things, some of those other ones. Goalpost method, nice. Yeah, goalpost method's probably good too. I think that's the one where you count over from wherever, and I think that that's fine as well. So, this is the simplest way that I know how to show this for me. This is the way that I have used, and I think it works well because it doesn't matter what somebody gives me, I can figure it out on here. So. Nice. Okay, yeah, no BGP for us here. We won't, actually, I don't even talk about BGP in this because this is just a network primer. This is just a high level, like what systems people need to know. All right, so that's all the networking stuff I have in this one, guys. Of the month and really use. I've heard a lot about Professor Messer. I've heard good things. Net Plus is good. I never went and got any. I've actually never sat for a CompTIA test. I had the CCNA, so I never took a Net Plus. If anybody cares about my certs, because sometimes people do, nobody asked, but there they are. So if you guys want to ask about any of those certs, I can talk to them. I've helped a lot of people study for the Security Plus. We've had a fair amount that go and pass, and we have 2 guys that have passed Security Plus that were studying with us in the last few months, and then one of them still getting ready for it. So if Robodomp's still around, he's getting ready to take that, and we're going to do some more studying. We do all that down in the Discord. I have materials that we study on there. So, nice. Yeah, and I tell you guys, I tell you guys this all the time. If it's not my channel, get help somewhere, right? Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care what method you use. Find somebody that's talking about this stuff in a way that can work for you guys, and then go talk with them about it. We have our Discord passed just at the end of March. It passed 1,000 members, and I checked today and it was 1,040, and I was like, yes, because I don't know, man. Like somebody on LinkedIn or something must have shared our stuff because we had just a lot of people coming over, and I was like, that's good. You know, we've got a lot of material for people to churn through and work on and network. Go find people that are doing stuff. People are always posting stuff in the job channel. In fact, one of my buddies works at a company called Zorro, and he just posted 3 jobs that they're actively seeking people for right now. They do Zorro's a web company, and they have a $1 billion a year transaction on their website. In fact, just a couple of years ago, they hit $1 billion a year in revenue off of their website. So, and it's just Zoro. Anyways, that's on there. I sometimes post stuff up for my company, Redline. You know, different stuff. We have a lot of study materials, things. People are going all kinds of different directions, but the point is there's a lot of stuff going on that you can, again, if it's not our community, go find a community where you can be plugged in and do systems work or engineering or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. All right, so here's the OSI model. You guys have probably heard this. All people seem to need data processing, or please do not throw sausage pizza away, or please do not pet, what is it, please do not touch Steve's pet alligator or something. Like, people have all these stupid things for this. But I think if you just learn this over time, you probably don't need that anymore. But anyways, the OSI model fits together like this. There are other models that exist for networking. There's the TCP IP model. There's the OSI model like this. And then there's well, there used to be the IPX SPX model, but that's been gone for 20 years. And then there was an AppleTalk model as well. But anyways, these models exist, and they're the ones that we typically use. OSI model, very common. And then to confuse the thing more, the OSI model is maintained by the ISO organization, which is the International Standards Organization, right? So OSI, ISO. Anyways, look, there's Nightbot telling you guys our thing. My whole shtick, the whole reason I come online making like $1 or $2 an hour, like nothing compared to engineering and professor pay, is to tell you guys that you can do this stuff professionally. If you guys enjoy doing this stuff, if you want to, go from being a hobbyist to being a professional, that's our goal. People didn't know that sex. Oh, jeez. Didn't he? Is he king now or something? I don't know. I don't keep track of. I'm from America, so I don't keep track of what's going on over there. But that's funny. All right, application present, and however you guys remember it. Now, we spend in the networking world, we spend a lot of our time down on the first floor. But if you're a systems person, you're going to touch all of them. So we sometimes play with the different pieces and that kind of stuff. So how does data move in this model, right? The thing to know about this model is that everything talks only to its peer on the other host. So we've got a host 1 over here and a host 2 over here. Data flows down all the way down to where it becomes bits, and it moves over, and then it flows back up, and having whatever was done to it on one side undone on the other side going up. If it helps you to think of it as a bunch of information being packaged each time it goes further down, that's a good way to think of it. Data is set as data streams until it gets down to session, and then at the transport layer we apply a header to the front of this segment, right? And then now we've got a header applied on the front of it, and that header is some information that tells things how it's going to go. Hey, how's it going, Salty? You streaming later tonight? You hopping on? I don't know how everything's going over there for you, but there's going to be information here at the transport layer. Port, source port, destination port, all of these things that we're always trying to scan on systems. And it's only going to matter right here at the transport layer and right over here as it's being stripped up on this transport layer on this side. Nowhere else does the transport layer's port number matter in this process. Now, it may matter in here if you have something that's defending your network, that kind of thing. Yeah, by the way, if you guys don't follow Salty, Salty comes on. He does a lot of Python projects. He is a professional coder. That's what he does. And he's the guy that I go to when I have questions about a lot of that stuff. So he does that stuff professionally. He works actually... We still work together, yeah, but different projects, but for the same company. So data flows down, and it keeps getting packaged up. If you want to think about, I want to sell this bag of pistachios on eBay or something. It's like half eaten, maybe 3/4 eaten bag of pistachios, and I'm going to put it in an envelope, and then that envelope is going to maybe, let's just say, this envelope then has information on it to make it down to the front door of my house. Once it gets to the front door of my house, I pick it up and go, oh, yeah, this goes to whoever. And then I write their address on it, and I put it in another envelope, and that's where I would put that address. And then I go take it out, and I go put it outside, and then somebody, some mail carrier or some service of some type, picks that up and takes it where it needs to go. It gets pulled out of there, and then somebody goes, oh, yeah, this is going to Steve or whatever. They move it to the right place inside, and then only Steve should open it up and see what's inside of it or whatever. Now, why would somebody buy that on eBay? I don't know. Fun fact, I've never sold anything on eBay. Never sold anything on Craigslist either, for that matter. Some of you might wonder why. I just never saw any purpose. I will throw something away before I'll barter with somebody about it. I just won't do it. And then more expensive stuff, I let a friend sell it or something. People. I have friends that like to do that kind of stuff. I fucking abhor it. I abhor dealing with that kind of stuff. So, anyways, a little about me, right? So we come over here, and we're applying information down as we go through this host. The data comes down, and then it flows over as a bunch of bits, right? And then it gets, anything that happens on this side gets undone on the other side. So let's talk about it. At the application layer, we, if we're using HTTP or HTTPS or DNS or whatever we're using, that is only gonna, whatever's happening there is only talking at this layer over here on the far host. Now, in between there, devices can be inspecting traffic, of course, but they are also bringing it up to application layer to look at it, as far as they're unpackaging everything and then repackaging it. Presentation layer, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit, there's three things it does. It encodes, it encrypts, and it encodes, it encrypts, and it compresses. Those are the three things. So if that happens on this side, if I encode something a certain way, like with a codec, or I encode it with a MP4 format, let's say, and I compress it, maybe at the same time, and then I encrypt it, I do those three things to it, What do you think has to happen over here? I have to decode, I have to decompress, and I have to decrypt, right? So whatever you do on one side has to be undone on the other. That's what it is. It's like those. If you've ever seen those games where you can go to a point and then you can rewind back and go a different way and then rewind back. It's that same idea. Anything you do on one side has to be undone on the other side, or you can't have communication occur. Session plays a role of opening windows of how much, if we're communicating between these, and session deals specifically with what's happening down at the it's exactly like those little Mastroika dolls or whatever those are, where the nesting dolls, right? It's exactly like that. If I could only read information that was on my doll and give it to the next person after I stripped my information off, it's exactly any way it helps you guys to think of this, right? Session deals with windowing and flow control only if transport layer is actually, and again, they talk up and down. They can talk up and down with each other, one above and one below only. And session and transport communicate, and session is used if we have windowing and flow control happening, right? Transport then is typically, and there's other ones, but typically for us, TCP or UDP. TCP is connection oriented. We establish a connection, we move data, we break the session down. Those things happen. UDP just shotguns data over, hopes it gets there. Now with UDP, like if you're using UDP and then you have like a real-time transport protocol over the top of it, that real-time transport protocol on the far side is getting ready to capture and re-aggregate that UDP that's getting shotgunned over. So you might say, well, TCP is doing everything and it's got all this, it's connecting, it's sending the data, always in sequence, by the way, and then it's always acknowledging data, and then it's always breaking it down at the end. Isn't that good? Yeah, but there's a lot of overhead in that. There's a lot of overhead in me talking here with, and we'll get to all this as we go. I'm talking about a lot of the presentation on this one slide, actually. It's kind of funny. But just because I'm trying to hammer through it a little bit. TLS also occurs here, yeah. TLS is going to be a transport layer protocol, and it's going to be, there's two major things that TLS does. It provides non-repudiation, like I can prove that you are who you say you are, and then it provides an encrypted tunnel for the data over a symmetric key that gets negotiated between the two endpoints. That key only exists during that communication, and then it's gone forever. And it's always a perfect forward secrecy, meaning even if you were to capture all of that, you would still not be able to decrypt it because the key, it only allows it to run once, so it's not replayable. Yeah, that's what we call perfect forward secrecy. Even if you capture things, you can't still replay them. All right. Network layer is where, so at the transport layer, we connect to ports on the other side. There are 65,536 total ports, right? 0 to 65,535. We don't use them all. The first 0 to 1023, yes, which is known as the well-known ports, are ones that most of us know, like 80 and 443 and those kind of things. Those are the well-known ports. Then 1024 and up are typically 1024 to something is sometimes called reserved ports, and then we just have all the rest of the ports, right, to do whatever we need with. And your systems can connect to any port, that's open on another box. Those ports represent everything that your system is either listening to or actually able to be connected on. So if I'm looking on this box here, and I just do an ss-ntulp, this is all the stuff that my system is listening to. UDP is in an unconnected state, and TCP is in either a listening or an established state. Those are the states that my system can be in right here. These are all the open ports on my box that exposes to the world. And this box is able to be connected to. I can connect, like when I go down to New Mexico in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to get into my home lab whenever I need to. And actually, people on our Discord that go into the Sandbox channel, they can see how to connect into my home lab whenever they want anyways. Maybe I should probably build like a home lab command for people that are interested. But we have like a home lab set up, and people can get in and they can do, minimal stuff, but there's things you can do in there. And the reason I haven't made that more available for people is because we have all those labs out on Killer Coda. So that's kind of, Killer Coda is like the place to go do, just messing around and doing a lot of Linux, right? Zero Trust security platforms like TwinGate and Tailscale. I have not Django. But I have a really good book on that. If you guys, I don't have it in books anymore, so I gotta pull it up. Hold on. That was our talk earlier. And hopefully that works for Less Than T. I think it should. There's Ranger. Ranger's looking super sad. I don't know why. But if you guys have never seen this book, this is a really good book on implementing Zero Trust for people that want to know more about it. And the main reason I always mention this book to you guys is if you go to page 42 and you're no, sorry, it starts on 41. If you ever have been an engineer or you're wanting to be an engineer and you want to understand X509 security certificates, which is the primary type of certificates that we use when people talk about digital identity documents, they typically mean something like this. When they talk about public key infrastructure, they're talking about this right here. Oh, it worked. Did it? Less Than T? Awesome. So for you guys, if you're just like, Scott, this is way too much stuff, but I do need to know about certificates, please bookmark that link. Go to page 41. Somebody in our community is actually one of the authors on this. One of the people that stops by here. He stops by a bunch of different channels, by the way. I don't want to out them, but if they're here, or I haven't heard them today, but if they're around, they want to tell you guys who they are, they can. But this is one of the best breakdowns of simple certificate, how CAs and PKI work. So if you're like, hey, I'm new to this and nobody's ever explained it to me, here you go. This is a really good explanation of how this all works. And I'm always like selling their free book for them. But my thing to note here is this is the thing that I really try to sell people on. The whole book is good, guys. The whole book is about Zero Trust. But this 41 and on is about something you may use the rest of your career. If you it's like a little 8-page like primer on how certificate authorities work. So I always recommend that to people. So use that link if you want. Yeah, so TLS and all that stuff happens here. We'll get to these as we go, but headers are applied. There's only one place where a footer or a trailer is ever applied, and that's at the data link layer. When we're at the frames, and we've got a maximum transmission unit size on the network of 1,500 bytes, typically in a normal 802.3 network, we've got a 1,500 byte maximum transmission unit. You lose a little bit off of the size of the packet that's coming down, but you've got a header and a trailer, and the trailer has a cyclic redundancy check on it. Robodon, what did you say? Certificates as that how to authorize an external device to an internal. So that you can use it for that, Robodom. You can use it to prove that you're talking to the site that you expect to talk to, and then you can also use it for TLS to do secure communications. So, yeah, if that guy's around, I don't know if they're around. I haven't seen them. They're normally around on Sundays. If they pop in and want to let you guys know who they are, they can. But I don't want to dox anybody, and specifically because this person is pretty in the security realm, so they do quite a bit of conference talks, and I don't think they want people knowing who they are in and some people are like that. No, the maximum transmission unit by default is 1,500. You're probably only able to get 1452 because of the overhead. The overhead, if you have a packet, and I've showed you guys how to do this before. But if you ever want to break stuff, right? So if we go look at ping, it's funny. If you ping Google, Google does not accept bullshit pings. When you start doing no fragment bits on pings to Google, they just stop your connections. But watch this. If I ping Yahoo, they'll just go to yahoo.com, right? And we'll ping them with a -C1, right? Boom. Got through the Yahoo. Then I'm going to say, you know what? Ping to Yahoo with a size of 2100, and that'll come back, right? But, hold on. What you don't see right here, because we're at a command line and we're not seeing everything, that ping of 2100 bytes, the size was 2100. It's, does it say, yeah, 2108? That does not fit in a 15 MU header, or in a 15 MU frame. So when that was coming down through all those layers and it got to here, it had to be split into 2 frames. And you say, can you prove that, Scott? Yes, I can. Watch this. I'm going to prove that in my Linux box right here. I'm going to add -M don't. -M do. So this is going to set the do not fragment bit on this, and it's too long for my network. Look at that. Message too long. MTU is 1500. And I go, well, can I go down to 1450? What was it? 1452, like somebody said. Yeah, 1452 got through, and then I could write a little for loop for this. But let's say 80. 1480, too long, because the header, right? So maybe I go down to like I think we found before that like the net is like 1460. 1460 gets through. How about 1470? I think it's right before 1470. That got through. How about 1476? That was too long. And we back down to like 1474. Too long. 1472 got through. How about 1473? Too long. So 1472 is the maximum in my network that will work for me. Spent 3 hours thinking of sockets client to see what's wrong. Only realized. Yeah, Google King Buns. I used to do that too. I'd be like, God damn, do I not know how to use this anymore? Don't go to Google, guys. If Google gets any kind of what we call in the professional sense fuckery, it's not going to say it. It won't say any bad words on my CC. That's the technical term for it. It will not come up. It will not respond. Google will just be like, I don't know what to do with that. You better give me a well-formed ping if you want me to respond. So anyways, if you guys have never seen that, that's a thing to play with on your Linux boxes. If you've never played with that. And I've explained to you guys before on stream, but if anybody wants to hear, the reason I learned how to do this is sometimes you'll have networks, like if you do high performance compute, you'll have different types of networks, and you'll have different types of maximum transmission units. And then sometimes you will have like fiber channel over Ethernet, and that fiber channel over Ethernet will be one fiber channel connection out of your device. That's the wrong spelling of fiber, by the way. Fiber is F-I-B-E-R, but fiber channel is always F-I-B-R-E, always. Just so you guys know. Because it's a British technology, and that's the way they spell fiber. Now, if you just say fiber like cables, F-I-B-E-R is fine in America. But fiber channel is always F-I-B-R-E. Yeah, they got it spelled wrong again. There you go. Anyways, all right. Not to be pedantic, but I'm just telling you, like, somebody will approach you. If you ever give, like, a talk and you have that wrong, some British guy will just show up and explain that to you. They'll be like, you stupid Yank. And you're like, I'm from the Southwest. I'm from Arizona. I think people still have, like, cowboy hats on out here and stuff. Where was I going? Oh, so sometimes, over those, you're still running Ethernet protocols. And sometimes you're still crossing other networks to get to like a storage area network somewhere else in your organization, let's say. And typically in storage area networking world, we want to use bigger than 1500 byte frames because those are real small. So we will ask to be jumbo frame the whole way, which can be 9,000. I think you can even go like 18,000 or something. But 9,000 is much more efficient for sending data to storage. And what will happen is what I used to do is I would ping like this, and I would set my don't fragment bit and try to ping all the way to the device. And the networking team would assure me that I had 9,000 bytes all the way across. But I would ping it, I would set it at like 5,000 and ping with the don't fragment. You are not allowed to cut this down and put it into other frames. And then I would find that, oh no, we didn't set that one switch. Sorry, Scott. Sorry. And I'm like, my shit's not working. I'm not getting anywhere. Things will still work. Your speed will greatly degrade if things are being chopped in one place and not getting to where they need to go. Just won't work. I find it so annoying writing code because when I spell color. Yeah. Especially, for my British people. By the way, I don't know if I've told you guys this, but somebody came on the other day, and I think it's been spreading to the people down in Discord. Apparently, I have a South African accent. So apparently people think I might be from South Africa. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. I've lived here a good portion of my life. The only time I was not here was when I was in Fort Benning, Georgia, or when I was in Fort Carson, Colorado, or when I was in Iraq in 2003, or, that's pretty much it. That's it. Like, I mostly, those are the places I've lived, but mostly I've been in Phoenix my whole life, and I really didn't think I had an accent at all. I know I have a bit of a speech impediment, but that's not really stopped me from talking a lot. All right. I'll change this song. This song's a little much. All right. Let's see what this one looks like. We're in the streaming dark, by the way. We got a bunch of different things. We've got fast, we've got chill, we've got dark. We've been doing dark all day, so all of our streaming songs have been kind of dark. So that was right there, guys. What we just did was we broke how packets worked with frames. That was something that we just played with, if you were tracking. But again, things are going down and they're being stuffed into the next thing. And if that thing's got a hard limit of 1500, and then you say do not fragment this, something has to break. And in my Linux box, I just showed you that the something that broke was, I won't send it then. F it, I won't send it. And by the way, we could have sat around and guessed. I tell you guys this all the time. There's an old engineering adage that goes, spelled it right, good. That goes, one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. I could have sat here and pontificated and had my little bubble pipe and talked about all the ways that I thought I was super smart, or I could just test it once and see what the hell happens. And I'm a big fan of just, there's a certain amount of engineering hubris where it's like, hey, I'm going to figure this out and solve this. This is, by the way, that's also a hacker mentality for people that are like, I'm a hacker man, I want to be a hacker man. The mentality is, I will solve this problem. I will figure out what is happening within the system from a set of inputs to see different outputs and see what the behavior is. And this is very important for engineering and testing and learning how things work and that kind of stuff. Yeah, King Buns, if I prod around the edges of it, I will eventually get to a thing. Yeah, if I prod around the edges of it, prod. By the way, if you can't, another old engineering adage, if you can't get downtime, make downtime. Right? Like, just make downtime. That's what I do. Guys, there's this old game. I reference this game often. Let's see if I can find this game. Hold on. This game is ridiculous. Hold on. I always worry that this means something else, but there was this game I used to play as a kid right here. It's called Hunt the Wumpus. And what you did in this game is absolutely ridiculous. You were this guy, and you would move around this little map, and there was one Wumpus, and you were hunting it, and you brought one arrow with you. And if you did not shoot the Wumpus with your one guess of where the Wumpus was, you were dead. That was it. That's how it worked. And the game, this was on like an old like Texas Instruments game console that I had. But the point is, you would prod around and look, and there would be swampland, and then there were caves, and sometimes there were bats, and you would move around, and based on the clues that you would get in the game, that would determine where the Wumpus was. And when you thought you knew where he was, you'd go to arrow mode and you would shoot an arrow at him, and if you got him, he would die, and if you didn't get him, he would eat you before you can get out of there. That was the game. Super stressful. It's like an original, like back before we had Minecraft, not Minecraft, but what was the Minesweeper, right? Yeah, dude, this Wumpus game was, what was this? It was absolutely ridiculous, man. It was absolutely, but it's a logic game. It's a logic game, and it's just prodding around the systems, and I learned how to play it as a kid, and it's really funny. You can find it, you can find people playing it on YouTube and stuff, and if I was ever to do like retro stuff, I do retro games and stuff, but if I were ever to do retro games, I would absolutely play Hunt the Wumpus on here. I have like about 10,000 retro ISOs and stuff like that, a more intense version of the Dark Souls. Fun fact, I've never played any of the Dark Souls games, but alright, there's Ranger. He's sad because I didn't give him a treat earlier, but alright, so we get back here and then we talk about how these things all flow. So then I start up here at the top. We're on the application layer, so we're talking application, and here's some high level concepts. Again, this is not meant to be a deep dive, guys. For people that are like, hey, Scott, you're skipping this, and this. I know there's a lot of other stuff that we could talk about. This was meant originally, and by the way, this is also recorded up on YouTube from when we first did it. This is also getting recorded up on YouTube, so this is on YouTube. I don't think we have anybody viewing right now, but there's that. Oh, by the way, I missed a Prime. Thanks for the Prime, and I missed a guest follow. So guest 1301, thanks for following. There were 1,300 guests before you, but you got that one, so that's good. I had a buddy that used to say that. It didn't matter what was after somebody's name. He's like, I wonder what happened to the first 754 of them. I always thought that was funny. Anyway, so here's the thing that happens at this layer. We've got different technologies, HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, and those technologies are talking up here, but they're identified by their ports, but their ports are actually mapped down at layer 4. So their port is actually irrelevant up here. to this discussion. They are just HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, whatever different types of technologies that we're dealing with up here, right? But these are common ones. These are ones that you're going to run into. You probably use the web browser probably over 100 times a day without even thinking about it, right? In fact, most of you are probably like me and you just have tabs open all over the place, and that's how you do most of your business. In fact, it used to be, if any of you were in an office in the late 90s, early 2000s, applications were constantly being pushed to your desktops, and companies and teams used to build applications. But nowadays, and some of you have probably heard this as engineers, but if you haven't, front-end web developers and back-end web developers definitely think about this and think often about this. The application is the browser is the application. We do almost everything we need to do in a browser nowadays. We don't need a specific application to down. In fact, if you told me I needed to download an application to run your website and the code off your website, I'd probably be like, yeah, let's go somewhere else where I can just do it right in the browser, right? That's how most of us work nowadays. But anyways, that's that. Common devices that exist at layer 7, you've got web application firewalls, you've got reverse proxies, which are load balancers. Load balancers is a common term for what a reverse proxy is. And then you've got next-gen firewalls. So web application firewalls are firewalls that are aware of what's going on all the way up to layer 7, as opposed to, yeah, Robodom, I have so many tabs open, right? In fact, I actually, on Saturday, we were hanging out talking. We have a Saturday meeting, and we probably got about like 8 or 9 people in there, and we were talking. And normally you guys don't see my browser at the bottom, because right down here, you guys have a little ticker, right? You guys don't see my sys tray, right? And what happened was somebody was like, wait a minute, you're running Edge? And I go, yeah, I have 3 browsers I use on average, on the average day. I have Firefox, Chrome, and Google Chrome, which is my main browser, and then I have Edge. And you say, really? Why the hell are you using all 3 of those? Hold on. And the person who caught it was like, man, are you doing like web dev stuff? And I go, no. What I'm actually doing is, no, the reason is because, have you guys ever done, I mean, it's more prolific now than ever before, but these Microsoft logins. And like, if I'm using Chrome, I'm doing all my college stuff where I teach. And if I'm using Edge, I'm using, I've got my home, like my own personal email. And then if I'm using Firefox, I'm doing the college where I go to college. And I do that. Oh, by the way, Firefox is also my login to like NOAA, which is my contracting gig with NOAA through Redline. And then Chrome is in my personal Google, and Edge is in my work through Redline Google. So I have Gmail and all of these. Well, I have to do it, because otherwise I'm fucking flipping between these stupid, because everything wants to control the whole browser. And they're like, well, log out of that one to go into that one. I'm like, I don't want to log out to that one to go into that one. I want them all open. I got 5 screens sitting in front of me here. And you're probably like, oh God, what the hell? Yeah, and Teams Web does, yeah, like, and then there's these stupid things. Real men of genius, yeah. All right, by the way, guys, I just heard the wife get home, so I don't have much more time with you, right? But I'm like that guy. Anybody here ever seen Hardcore Henry? Hardcore Henry is it's a sleeper. A lot of people did not see that movie. It's the first person the entire time, and it's just this guy having what could best be described as a really bad day, and he doesn't know what's going on, and you don't know what's going on, but all throughout it, there's like hundreds of times the same guy keeps showing up, and it's turned into a bunch of memes. But there's one meme where they're on the back of a truck, and he's like, I know you think today is bad, but it's about to get a lot worse, and then that's turned into a thing. That's what I was thinking. Like, it's I know today's been busy, but it's about to get a lot worse. But similar thing, multiple browsers for the work machine, so I can have work in the home. Yeah, live coding, I get it. And actually, I have all of my work stuff on a separate machine over here. That's 2 of my monitors, and then my workspace here. Like, if I ever look like I'm looking over here to the right, it's because I'm looking at my big giant monitor to the right, and that's where I'm presenting on. So all my presentation stuff is on one screen, and then I've got my other screens over here where I can pull stuff up and kind of see what's going on. So, guys, I'm probably not going to be able to finish this, but I can promise you that this is all over on the YouTube. So if you're like, hey, this is interesting, but maybe, and by the way, on the YouTube, if you go to like my videos, the thing about those videos is the only things that I have up as actual videos are things that are like finished work. It's a whole HPC or networking primer, or what's the other one that we've done? The Kubernetes 3-tier app. That's all we have over there. I'm not doing. I mean, I have some of these that we've been popping up, but I don't have like a lot of. I don't have like a lot of filler over there. I don't want just a lot of bullshit sitting over there with me on it. So if you go to our actual videos, it's all like discrete working things. So, all right, let me go to my little end of stream thing. Let's go find somebody to raid. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. If you guys like this stuff, you're welcome to follow. I appreciate everybody's follows and primes and all that good stuff. Let's go. Who's going on? What's going on out here in the world? Let's see what's going on with anybody that raided me. People that have raided me before. Base bits. How about people I'm following? Those are all different guys doing different stuff. Let's do same category. What's going on in same category? Yeah, I appreciate you guys all coming by for sure. Let's find somebody that's raided me before. Blazebits. Oh, Blazebits is we're gonna go right over there. Follows are free, so feel free to follow Blazebits as well. I don't think I've ever been on their stream before, but they have raided me before, so we're gonna go raid them back. And it looks like they're playing Hack the Planet, so that's kind of cool. I haven't played that game, but it looks like there's some good stuff going on. So I will see you guys next time. Take care.